up. And for the Panthers, one sheet has Evan Rodriguez in, and the official one has Boquist on the top line with Barkov and Reinhart. So we'll see what happens there, but I have to believe that they're going to go with the sheet that I'm holding in front of me because it is official. Stu, what do you make of all that?
Yeah, on the Florida side, maybe playing a little bit of a rope-a-dope with Boquist, who, he does have a goal this series, but again, Rodriguez is a big hole for the Florida Panthers to fill. I think it's worth noting that Matthew Nyes, who was a little bit injured last game, he's dealing with a bone bruise, for those that might not know, but he's ready to go as well, too. So I think for Toronto, again, you have your four lines, you have your depth, but ultimately I think the big names got to have big games tonight. So I'm looking a lot from Austin Matthews to continue his scoring streak that he did have last game. Mitch Marner elevating. Same thing with Nylander, who's been fantastic this entire playoffs with John Tavares. So the other guys, if they weather the storm, the defense, we're not even mentioning them because they've been carrying the mail the whole entire season. Joseph Woll seems like he's hitting his stride as well too. But for this team to get to that next round, the big guys have to step up.
And I mean, what a moment to legitimize everything. You're here on home ice, Game 7, end of the second round against the defending Stanley Cup champs, the team that has been to the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years. I mean, there can't be a better moment than this one.
Yeah, and you look at the energy in the building, right? Half of the people that probably weren't alive the last time you were sort of in this situation, right? So again, that's motivating. You have the chance to, in a sense, make history. So if that doesn't get you fired up and you just feel the energy, you hear the passion, as a player, I'm jealous. I'm jealous sitting here listening to this. I want to put the pads and get back on. So I'm expecting a really, really great start by Toronto. You're seeing the rally towels. You're seeing the lights. You're seeing the passion. I'm expecting a fired up start by this Toronto Maple Leafs group.
Wow, we know there's a big crowd outside the building too. And you said it. I mean, you got to go back to 2002 in the third round against Carolina, losing in 6 games. Oh, so close to getting into the Stanley Cup final. So 23 years later, if you are slightly under 30, you don't have any memories. This is it for you.
Yes, not to date myself, but that was a year before I got drafted to the National Hockey League, right? And again, I was a little bit jealous. I didn't have the opportunity to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Despite, there were some up and down years, they've done a great job drafting the last 10, 12 years now, and this is sort of now the opportunity to get the fruits of their labor and continue the legacy of the Austin Matthews, the Mitch Marners, Tavareses, and the Nylanders. So history, not saying it's going to be written tonight, but it's a step in the right direction with a great performance. Win, lose, or draw, leave it all out on the ice, and that's what the Leafs faithful ask for. That's all they ask for, Tats.
So I would suspect, we got about a minute to go here, I would suspect that both teams are going to play their system and just wait for something to happen.
I think so. It'll be a little bit of a rope-a-dope, but back and forth. I don't see anyone trying to land a knockout punch. I do not anticipate any extracurricular activities, as you do not want to get behind on the penalty kill early on in the game. And I can barely hear myself talking right now and turn the volume up here. But again, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
Well, let's just take a listen to this. Pump up the volume there.
Starting lineup on defense from Toronto, Ontario. Number 8, Chris Tanev. And from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, number 22, Jay McCabe. The forwards from Fort Hill, Ontario, number 16, Mitch Marner. Arizona, number 23, Matthew Nye. And from Scottsdale, Arizona, number 34, Austin Matthews.
There's only one thing left. It's the opening faceoff. Bonesy and Ralphie will step in. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs.
Sports are all about moments.
One of the most incredible, miraculous finishes we have ever seen.
And you can hear them all.
He scores! Alex Ovechkin! There's a new goal-scoring champion!
As they happen.
Oh my goodness! Shohei Ohtani, a sayonara swing!
Live in the moment.
Rory McIlroy on his knees. He's won the Masters.
With live sports on Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
Frederick Anderson, #1 goaltender with the Canes. Congratulations on the contract extension.
Yeah, good organization. I have high standards, and I want to push for that championship every year. And we haven't gotten to the ultimate goal, but we've been knocking on the door, and that's the perfect situation. Being on a team that's got those aspirations.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
It's a pleasure to have back on the program Coach Joel Quenneville, back behind an NHL bench next fall.
And I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to be in Anaheim. Working with Beaker over the last couple of weeks, we're having a lot of fun. The personnel and the young kids, it kind of represents and reminds me of what we had in Chicago when I first went there. And we got a really young team that's going to be exciting to work with for sure.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Under review.
And stop making excuses for bad goaltending. And is it bad? Is it horrendous? If you don't win because you don't make a save or two, yeah. The nature of it is the goaltender is responsible for 90% of the action. He's got to stop the puck. Why do we keep making apologies for goaltending? Stop it.
Under review with Mick Kern, 11 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Sirius XM NHL Network Radio puts you on the ice.
If you're trying to describe what playoff hockey is,
well, the ebbs and the flows, the momentum changes, the willingness to sacrifice whatever it takes, whether it's blocking a shot with your face. Every opportunity matters. You know, we learn an awful lot about ourselves in the playoffs and how you rise to the challenge and are willing to do whatever it takes for the team to be successful.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91. Nothing puts you closer to the action than Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Big news out of Vancouver. Adam Foote is the new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks.
Adam Foote's never been a head coach. And I look at the Vancouver Canucks. If they make that move, it's because they feel this is more about development. This is more about, building for the future. It's not so much about next year. Adam Foote's going to have some growing pain next year.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91.
Hey, Jim Rome here. What's cracking?
Hi.
Hope you're enjoying the game, and when you're not taking in a game, find us on Sirius Channel 161, XM Channel 206. In fact, we'll be there every weekday afternoon, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you've got something you want to break down from this game, you know where to find us. Just make sure you have it taken, don't suck.
Step your game up.
That has never changed. In fact, the show has never changed. We're just back home, and it's great to be there. Sirius 161, XM 206. See you there.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL Play-by-Play on Sirius XM.
Well, here we go. It is Game 7 against the Florida Panthers. And I said, cheering for a team is like having children. You scold them, you get upset with them, you throw things at them. In my day, when you did something wrong, you got your arse tan, but you never stopped loving them. And so after a disappointing Game 5, everybody is back, and everybody has got their things going. We're ready to roll as they're at center ice for the opening face-off of Game 7. And the puck is dropped, and we're underway, and glad you're with us. Fired into the Leafs zone right off the hop by Mikkola. Down into the corner and swung around the boards for Marner, who chips it to the slot area. A backhand shot, stopped by Wall, goes around back of the net. Marner trying to find Matthews there, and it didn't connect. Now he has another opportunity, and he's just going to flip it out into center ice and down into the Florida zone. Leafs are changing. Nyes remains out there. Leafs have the exact same lineup as in Game 6, other than Anthony Stolarz is the backup goaltender. It rolls down in on goal, and Wall will leave it there on the near boards. Played out at center ice, and now Tavares. An odd man rushing over the line, looking for a man in front, and a good defensive play made there by Gustav Forsling. Back come the Panthers at center ice. Played in on the right side with a long shot in on goal that Wall directed wide of the net. Another pass in front of the goal knocked away by Carlo. Into the corner, comes back to the blue line. Ekblad with a shot that deflects wide of the Leaf goal. Panthers on it quickly. They'll get it back to Ekblad again. Ekblad stops, plays it around the boards back to the net. Riley couldn't trap it. It goes into the far corner, and a centering pass is intercepted by Brandon Carlo, who gets it ahead to the line, but Pontus Holmberg couldn't get it out. Here's Ekblad in with a shot. That goes high and wide. Good pressure here from Florida. Down around the boards, it's going to come to Riley on the near side, but he can't chop it past the pinching defenseman as it comes back to the blue line. Kept in now by Kulikov. Back of the net, trying to come out in front of the goal. Back into the far corner, and Marchand is onto the puck. It's cleared to the side of the net and back to the blue line again. Kulikov again with a shot. This one is deflected up into the screen and out of play.
Leafs have got to be very careful. We saw this especially in Game 5, where the Florida Panthers defense are going to come charging down the wall and any kind of outlet opportunities up the boards. And the Leafs got burned on that twice. As the Florida Panthers look to reestablish their game, Paul Maurice said after Game 6, he said, we were just slow. We were slow getting the puck to the net. We were slow getting it on the forecheck. And Florida looks quick here to start this game.
Face off in the Toronto zone, controlled by the Panthers. They carry down around back of the net. Cut off there by Benoit, who got it to the line, but not out. A long Marchand shot goes off a stick into the corner. Back of the net, Carlo. Tried to reverse it. It comes free to Lorenz, and Lorenz outlets ahead for Benoit. Benoit will roll it towards the net. Handling it for the first time in the game there is Bobrovsky. Now the Leafs trying to get some forecheck going. Into the side of the net for Lorenz. He drops it back into the corner. Leafs onto it there with Yarncrook tying up his man. Cleared off onto the left wing side and brought to center ice now by Tkachuk, who sends it down into the Leaf end. Leafs are back in their own zone. McCabe to Tanev. Tanev flipping it to the line. Kicked away there at the blue line. Knocked back on the far side by Pacioretty. His effort to get it deep didn't get far enough, and it's brought back into the Toronto zone now by A.J. Greer. Now back to the point, a shot that goes off a leg. Pacioretty swiping at it to get it out, and it gets ahead to Domi, but he can't get in over the line. Brought back, and Domi steals it right back, but he gives it away as he tried to send it into the corner. Played back out at center for Greer. Greer will send it down into the Leaf zone. Slowed up by Wall. Played into the corner for Morgan Riley, but his feed for Domi didn't work, and now here's a pass in front of the net, and fanning on it was Sam Reinhart. Barkov playing it around back of the goal now for Rodriguez, who's back into the lineup, and a point shot is deflected wide of the Leaf goal. Barkov in the corner. Lost it. The Leafs are going to get it out at center ice, only to have it shot right back in again. Now the Panthers waiting for teammates to get onside, and a shot is blockered away by Wall. He's been the busier of the two goaltenders because nothing has been directed at Bobrovsky as yet. Benoit getting it ahead, but that struck Nyes in the back of the leg and didn't get in. It's cleared back down into the Toronto zone. Oliver Ekman-Larsson playing it around back of the net. Benoit played it up along the boards, chopped out at center ice, but there's Florida with it again. Here's Bennett sending it back into the Toronto zone, trying to get their forecheck game going as it comes into the slot for Seth Jones on his backhand. Curls to the forehand. To the point, it comes now to Mikkola with a shot that's deflected wide. Mikkola with it again. Back of the net and back of the goal. Tkachuk taken to the wall, and the puck comes back to the point, but it is kept in by Florida. Around back of the Toronto goal it goes. Near side for Verhaeghe. Verhaeghe with a shot. That deflecting. Where'd it go? Oh, onto the far side. I think it must have gone off the screen. Oh, pad save, and a good one made by Wall. Love to know where that went. Back to the point, another shot. Deflects off the side of the goal. A centering pass comes out in front, and it's knocked away, and the Leafs are finally going to get to it and launch to center ice. They have been under siege here. Panthers into the side of the goal and around back of the net. McCabe unable to get to it, trying to come out in front. Tkachuk in a shot. That was blocked. There's a rebound in front of the goal. Where's the puck? It's grabbed off by Toronto. My goodness, what a start here for the Florida Panthers. And now another turnover, and the Leafs are into the Defense again as Marchand goes back of the net. Tried to get it in front but couldn't. Puck is shot and Wall stops that. And everybody take a breath, especially on the Leaf bench.
Well, and you would figure usually it's the visiting team that has to withstand the first 5 or 6 minutes on the road in a Game 7, but this has been the other way around. The Leafs, Jake McCabe, Morgan Riley, and a few others have had blatant giveaways here early in the opening period, so maybe from a Leaf standpoint, they've got to survive themselves in the first 5 or 6 minutes to get things going. 5:27 in, the Leafs have not handled the puck in the Florida zone.
And they've not even had a shot on goal. The one that rolled in on Bobrovsky's been taken off the board. Domi will take the face-off. Lost it. It comes back to the point. Another shot in traffic is blocked by Wall. And the Leafs finally get it up on the left wing. And Riley trying to play it through center. Can't get it in. Cleared by Kulikov back into the Toronto zone. In along the boards now for Brandon Carlo in the far corner. He's engaged in there by a couple of Panthers. Swept around the boards. It'll come to the near point. Kept in there by Schmidt. Around back of the net. Carlo intercepts. Got it ahead for Domi. And he'll just get it out before it's shot right back in again. Changes coming for both teams. Riley has it back of the net and some time to breathe. Into the corner for Brandon Carlo. Ahead for Nyes. Nyes off the skate of Matthews. Doesn't get into the zone. Brought right back by Sam Reinhart. Into the Leaf zone it goes, and McCabe is back at the net with it. Trying to play it up the boards. Cut off by Barkov. Stolen back by McCabe. Tanev jams his man to the boards. The puck still free as it comes back to the point. Near side now for Ekblad. His shot on goal, stopped by Wall. And Joey Wall has been the story of the first 6 minutes and 33 seconds. 8 shots against him by the Florida Panthers. None by the Maple Leafs at this point. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs.
Multicultural. International. Undeniable. Your connection to the sounds from the East. Hear the voices of a global phenomenon on SiriusXM K-pop. How you like that? Or explore trending hits by Asian talents from around the world on Horizon. Listen to these and more anytime at home with SiriusXM on your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, or other internet-connected devices.
NHL Morning Skate.
Frederik Andersen, #1 goaltender with the Canes. Congratulations on the contract extension.
Yeah, good organization. I have high standards, and I want to push for that championship every year. And we haven't gotten to the ultimate goal, but we've been knocking on the door, and that's the perfect situation. Being on a team that's got those aspirations.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Power Play with Steve Koulias.
It's a pleasure to have back on the program Coach Joel Quenneville, back behind an NHL bench next fall.
And I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to be in Anaheim. Working with Beaker over the last couple of weeks, we're having a lot of fun. The personnel and the young kids kind of represents and reminds me of what we had in Chicago when I first went there. And we got a really young team that's going to be exciting to work with for sure.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
Okay. Draw to the left of Joey Wall, and the Leafs have started out either very nervous or just hemmed in. I mean, it's been embarrassing at this point. 7-0. But Joe Wall has been the difference. Matthews to take the face-off, but lost the draw, but now it's whistled down. And
now the one positive is there's been nothing clear-cut against Wall. The Leafs have been able to get sticks in the way, take lanes away. But the longer you spend in your own zone, it's that ugly one that's going to be bouncing in.
Marner taking the face-off now against Sam Reinhart. And Reinhart won the draw as it comes back to the point where it slid in around the boards. Tanev blocking the path, and Marner comes away with it and looks up ice. Marner with a pass ahead for Nyes, who'll get it in over the line, but the Panthers are sending it right back out again. Here's Barkov in across the line. Works in on the right wing side, goes around back of the net. Played it back to the blue line, cut off there, and in and wrapped around the boards to the near side. Marner trying to get there ahead of Jones. The puck is played back into the slot area, and the Leafs now have it back of their own goal, trying to get a change of players going. Pass ahead to Flex. Tavares couldn't get it in cleanly. Flipped back to the Leaf blue line. Bouncing disc to the near boards. Grandlaw steps into his man there with a hefty hit. And Tavares starts out of his own end. Tavares getting it up on the wing for Willie. Nylander back for Tavares and in over the line, but it was knocked away. Now cleared in on a delayed offside. Willie will have to come out of the zone. Leafs are changing as the puck comes up ahead on the right side for Verhaeghe. Long shot has gone off his stick and up into the screen and out of play.
Well, the one line that looks like they're on the verge of breaking out, Joe, has been the Tavares line. And that might be scratching for something positive to say in the early going. But you saw a couple of times they made plays. There was one Holmberg couldn't handle. Willie Nylander got stifled right at the Florida line, and then John Tavares on this recent chance.
Face off in the Toronto zone, won by the Maple Leafs. Played off the boards to the line, but it doesn't clear. Lawton couldn't get to it. Back around into the corner. Riley knocked his man down. The puck comes free on the near boards, though. Played back in along the wall. Riley interfered with, trying to come out into the corner after his man. Riley knocked it back along the boards. It'll come off a stick to the point. Long shot goes high over top of the Leaf goal. Here's Riley after it again as it's played back into the corner. Marchand back to the point, near side to Kulikov. His rolling puck comes in front of the net, and now Lorenz starts away with a pass. He'll play it off the boards, trying to get to it himself, but couldn't get in over the line cleanly. As now it's down in around back of the Florida net for the first time in the game. And that is 8.5 minutes in. Here's a stolen puck then by McKay, but he couldn't get a shot away inside the blue line. Leafs have to wait for teammates to get onside. Max Domi flipping it into the left wing corner. Being interfered with there was McMahon, and no call. Here the Panthers in with a shot, blocked away by Wall, and it's gone up into the screen and out of play.
Well, it's been a couple of plays in a row now that if they were looking for something could have called. Morgan Riley tried to get to the corner from the front of the net, got hauled down. And now here, A.J. Greer. I mean, that's fine. If you don't want to call it, then don't call those one-handed hooking penalties the other way.
Chris Rooney was the one looking right at that. Jean Hebert is the other referee. Devin Berg and Johnny Murray are the linesmen. Face off to the right. In the Toronto zone where this period has been played. Leafs playing it around the boards to the near side to Nyes. He's kept in there on a good pinch by Mikkola. It's back to the net as it comes into the slot area. Back to the point, a one-timer. That deflected wide of the net. Leafs trying to come away with the loose puck, and it is Matthews getting it ahead and pinched off the boards and brought out at center ice now by Marner. Marner to Matthews in on the left wing. Matthews in with the backhand, and that went wide as he was taken down. Panthers get it to the line, but not out. Nyes into the slot. Nyes is in a goal! Shot it just wide. The rebound down the boards. The Leafs still without a shot on goal as it's cleared to center. But now this crowd is into it again. Shot right back down into Florida territory. Far side for Sam Bennett. Bennett gets it out on the wing, but no one there. Leafs will have possession back at their own blue line. Riley getting it ahead and off the stick of Pacioretty into the zone for Bobby McMahon. McMahon along the wall getting it along for Domi. Domi tried to center, but it was blocked. Domi getting it back along the boards again. Domi trying to look for a man in front. Pacioretty chipped it just wide of the far post. Leafs with a couple of scoring chances here. Played out at center ice by Florida. Tkachuk sends it down into the left wing corner for Sam Bennett. Bennett and Carlo after it as the puck goes to back of the net. Morgan Riley taking it to safety to play it into the corner for Brandon Carlo, who got it up on the boards, but not out. Then Domi got it out into the center ice area. Kulikov shoots it right back into the Toronto end. Far side for Marchand. Marchand goes around back of the net, off the skate of Riley to the near boards. Marchand with it again. Gives the puck away to Morgan Riley. He's going to send it out into neutral ice. Kulikov at the Florida blue line. Gets it up on the left wing. Odd man rush here for Florida, but Marchand had it roll off his stick. It comes back up on the near wing. Leafs trying to punch it out at center, and Willie has a break down the left wing. Nylander closes, and he shot it wide. Pass on the far side kept in by Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And around back of the net. Here's Benoit winding and shooting, and that's wide. Leafs have not hit the net with a shot yet. Down into the corner for Pontus Holmberg. Holmberg trying to free it up for Willie. Willie trying to get it out in front. Nylander kicking it free. Nylander along the boards back towards the blue line. Still with it along the line into the slot area. Rolls in front of the goal. Stopped by Bobrovsky. What a play by William Nylander.
Boy, fortunate that the puck ended up back on his stick. As I believe it was John Tavares, Joe, with his back to the goal, just redirected the pass through his legs and back onto the stick of Nylander. But Nylander had sort of gone too far past the post and had to reach back before flicking it into Bobrovsky.
No score, first period. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With a Cintas apparel program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.ca.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Breaking story from Alpine News Network. Firefighter Finn McHose, that's a nickname, right? Needed help contending with a blaze of debt. He called Alpine Credits and a superhero was sent his way. Summoning water, she extinguished the fire and consolidated his debt into one low monthly payment. His floors may be wet, but his debt is under control. Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
When you get a Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and class-leading safety included, it's like you also get a Subaru that comes with your very own golf club holder, stadium parking navigator, a basketball team transporter, a remote cottage finder, a beaver spotter, a coach hauler, bear country guide, a family road trip carrier, a muddy road controller, extreme wind stabilizer, plus a... And we're out of time. Subaru is the multi-tool that masters every unpredictable weather condition. Visit your local Subaru dealer for great lease and finance options.
Thomas Coverley in the house as he welcomes a member of the armed forces during our timeout.
He's had an overtime winner.
He's had a lot of overtime winners.
No, but I mean in the playoffs.
Yes, he has, yep.
I believe in this building. Was it Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think so. Although Harry Neal said he would never take him duck hunting because he'd never shoot.
Well, he'd bring Brian McCabe.
Draw one by the Leafs. Comes back to the point. Ekman-Larsson faked the shot. Sends it back of the net for Matthews. Matthews couldn't get it in front. Into the corner, Evan Rodriguez trying to get it out, but it's stolen back by Nyes, but it bounced over his stick and comes to center ice. Barkov sends it down into the corner. Ekman-Larsson up against the boards. Matthews bowled over his man back of the net. Puck comes up on the near wing for Nyes. He can't get it out. Puck along the boards. Matthews stole it back, and he starts it out for Marner. Marner to his defenseman now as the Leafs are changing. Benoit will wait patiently in his own zone and now go to the bench as he gives it off there to Jake McCabe. McCabe cautiously coming out of his own end with a pass ahead for Steven Lorentz, who gets by one. He's tripped up, but no call again. Back into the corner, it comes back to the point. Played in along the boards and around back of the net to the near corner. It will get to the near side. And now Scotty Lawton back of the net. Tried to center. That's jammed out in front. And swallowing it up finally is Bobrovsky. But two obvious penalties have not been called.
I mean, that's at least. And like I said, if there was a cheap one called back the other way, in fact, even maybe a legit one called back the other way, this crowd would be going nuts. As the Leafs starting to get their legs here in Game 7 and push back a little bit. Great work by the fourth line, or third/fourth line.
Draw in the Florida zone to the right of Bobrovsky. Tavares taking the draw for Toronto. Wins it cleanly. Riley at the point. Plays it along the boards and in back of the net for Pontus Holmberg. Holmberg allowed to come out, but the swinging stick there of Bobrovsky knocked it away on a good paddle down play. And now Florida gets it out at center. Long shoot in there by Lundell. Goes wide of the Leaf goal. Cleared out at center ice and then slashed right back down into Toronto territory. Pontus Holmberg has it back in his own zone.
St. Florida did clear, so they're going to blow it offside. Now,
Kind of strange. The Leafs had full control of the puck. Didn't think that they were being pressed by a Florida player.
They're going to face off at center ice, but the Leafs go from having full control of it to having to win a face-off to get the puck back.
Domi will face off, and he wins the draw cleanly, and the Leafs have it back in their own zone. Chip to the line. Domi is able to get in over the line and couldn't get it under control as Pacioretty was driving the net as it comes back to the point. Out of McCabe. McCabe with a wrist shot in traffic is still free. Knocked at the net, stopped by Bobrovsky. It's grabbed back now by Tanev. To the point to McCabe. Back to Chris Tanev. Return to McCabe. McCabe shot in traffic, deflected wide. Where's the puck? It goes back off the back of the goal. It's cleared to the line and off McCabe, or off Tanev rather, and down in... I don't know about that. I think that went off Chris Tanev, don't you?
Well, there's your big break of the period, right? Get a face-off back in the Florida zone. Of course, now...
They're going to discuss this.
This could be a center ice face-off.
I believe it is. It did, and they're saying that it was, and that's the right play. That's the right call. It's the unfortunate part that the other two calls, and we're all through the right call, were not made.
Well, Leafs another couple of opportunities. Still only 2 official shots on goal, so only done as equal what Florida did at home in Game 6, where they were held to just 2 shots on goal in the opening period, and that was while having the only 2 power plays of the period.
6:17 left in the first, no score. Matthews lost the draw. Nyes trying to get to it, has chopped it high in the air, volleyballed by Florida to center. And the Leafs will backpedal in their own zone to get it to Benoit. He had some difficulties with it, got it back again. Now has it in his skates, trying to play it up the middle, and he does to Marner, who saucers it ahead for Matthews. To Nyes, and in over the line comes Marner. He's got a man going to the front of the net. Oh, and it was a great pass intended there for Oliver Ekman-Larsson that just failed to connect. Leafs back in their own zone. For all of this pressure that Florida had in amassing the first 7 shots of the game, the Leafs have had the better scoring chances. Puck in the center ice area. Here's Scotty Lott, middle load. He's in a goal. Backhand stop by Bobrovsky. Oh my!
Boy, this was a great job on the back check by Luostarinen, who just gets his stick on Scotty Laughton's. Now, it almost worked to Laughton's advantage, Joe, where pushed the puck to the left of Bobrovsky, but Laughton wasn't able to recover to get the shot off.
No score, first period. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 in the Maple.
Sports are all about moments.
One of the most incredible, miraculous finishes we have ever seen.
And you can hear them all.
He scores! Alex Ovechkin! There's a new goal-scoring champion!
As they happen.
Oh my goodness! Shohei Ohtani, a sayonara swing!
Live in the moment.
Rory McIlroy on his knees. He's won the Masters.
With live sports on Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
Frederik Andersen, #1 goaltender with the Canes. Congratulations on the contract extension.
Yeah, good organization. Got high standards, and I want to push for that championship every year. And we haven't gotten to the ultimate goal, but we've been knocking on the door, and that's the perfect situation. Being on a team that's got those aspirations.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Coulias.
It's a pleasure to have back on the program Coach Joel Quenneville, back behind an NHL bench next fall.
And I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to be in Anaheim. Working with Beaker over the last couple of weeks, we're having a lot of fun. The personnel and the young kids kind of represents and reminds me of what we had in Chicago when I first went there. And we got a really young team that's going to be exciting to work with for sure.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Face off in the Florida zone to the left. Panthers with 8 shots, the Leafs with 2, but the Leafs have had the better scoring chances, and they haven't resulted in shots. Draw won by the Leafs. Back to the point it comes. Brendan Carlo! That struck a body, and now a centering pass, a backhand. Stopped at there. Stopped by Bobrovsky on the short side. Tkachuk gets it out at center. Here's Bennett in over the line. Bennett with a shot that goes off the stick of Carlo and up into the screen and out of play.
I do like the Leafs, though. They're doing what the Panthers did earlier in the period. You win a draw, get traffic in front, and hammer it. And right here, Bobby McMahon, who's still looking to break through here in the postseason. 23 games when you go back to the end of the regular season and now for Bobby McMahon. But if he were to score, this would be the game you would love to see it.
Face off to the right in the Toronto zone. Tavares wins it cleanly, and Tanev is back at the Toronto net. He's going to start out with a pass up at center. That goes off the stick, but it is corralled now by Florida. Brought back in with a wrist shot wide of the goal by Verhaeghe. Far corner now for Tkachuk. Tkachuk to Bennett. Bennett trying to work it back in along the boards, and Tanev got there, but then it's poked into the near corner. Florida with it again, trying to come out with it as Verhaeghe. Verhaeghe with a shot that explodes off the shin pad of McCabe and goes all the way back down into Florida territory, allowing both teams to change. 4:35 to go in a scoreless first. Brought to center ice and launched high into the Toronto zone. Brandon Carlo back of the net to play into the corner, but Barkov has cut it off. Barkov engaged there by Matthews, who got it freed up for Matthew Nyes. Nyes misfires on a pass, and here's the chance for Rodriguez. Going to the net, a big save by Wall. Into the corner now for Reinhart. Back it goes Rodriguez, a shot, glove by Joey Wall.
Boy, Leafs almost out of their own zone. Nyes couldn't get it the rest of the way, but Joe, I love the compete by Austin Matthews on Sasha Barkov to steal the puck and get it going in the right direction. But Nyes, I think, was trying to chip it to open ice to go after it, but it was kept in. But it was a great battle between Matthews and Barkov.
Face off in the Toronto zone. Lawton taking the draw for the Maple Leafs, lost it to Lundell, kept in now Forsling around back of the net, had it tipped away by Tanev. Tanev gets it ahead, but doesn't get it out, now finds a pass and gets it ahead, and a pass and over the line, breakaway, stopped by Bobrovsky. What a play made by Scotty Lawton, and Steven Lorenz was in alone.
Boy, and he had more time and space.
Could have gone wide, couldn't he?
To take it to the net. Bobrovsky well out at the top of the crease. But we've also seen Lawton use that shot that could be pretty lethal. Remember his shorthanded goal against Colorado in this building at the end of the ice from well out.
Face off to the left of Bobrovsky. Domi will take the face off. Pacioretty and McMahon are with him. And the draw won by the Panthers, cleared to the line, but kept in by Toronto. Into the corner for McMahon. McMahon one-hands it to the side of the goal. That was knocked back into the corner, and Domi sending it back from whence it came. Now Domi along the near wall, got it freed up for Bobby McMahon. To the point it comes to Riley. D to D far side, long shot. No one there, although it was a valiant effort by Domi and Pacioretty to try to get to the front of the net before the shot from Brandon Carlo came, but Carlo had to get it away in a hurry as he was pressured.
Max Domi, when he was with Carolina, Joe, had 2 goals in a Game 7 win. And you see, he looks like he's engaged, doesn't he? I thought he was very good in Game 6. Had the secondary assist on the insurance goal by Max Pacioretty in the third period.
Draw to the left. Matthews out there for Toronto. Wins the draw. Back to the blue line. It'll come to McCabe. McCabe sends it towards the net, but it's off the stick of Sam Reinhart. And ramping up into the screen and out of play with 3:28 to go here in period number 1. No score. Game 7. But things tightening up in the shots on goal department now. 7-6.
And you don't know whether the Leafs had to survive the Panthers in the early going or survive themselves.
Draw to the right of Bobrovsky. Matthews lost the face-off. Marner unable to get to it, but Nyes partially blocks that as it comes into the point. Now here's Matthews closing, and a wrist shot is taken off the shoulder by Bobrovsky and held.
Well, Game 7s is they could be a microcosm of the 6 previous games that got you here, right? The ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, the pushes and the pushbacks. And we've seen the pushback for the Leafs here after being outshot 7-0. Shots are now even with 3:18 to go in the first.
Face off to the right of Bobrovsky with Tavares out now with Nylander and Pontus Holmberg. And the draw won by Florida. Chipped on the glass. Nylander is there. Puck comes back along the boards for Tavares. Tavares couldn't get it to his defense. And the Panthers are able to break it to center and shoot it high. That goes into the screen and out of play. And so a face-off will come back out into the center ice area with 3:04 to go in the period. This is my 13th. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, my 19th. Game 7.
How many for me?
I don't do your stats. I just kind of look after my stats.
No,
but we're friends.
No
we're still
kidding.
friends.
No kidding.
We're still friends. Well, you weren't around with me in 82.
Well, I have been since 97.
Well, then how many have you got?
I don't keep track of stats like that.
No, apparently not.
No.
You rarely keep track of any stats.
You ask me that 2 out of 3 times every game.
Yes, you do. Shot down into the Florida zone. Bobrovsky tucking it around back of the net. It'll find Tkachuk, who gets it out at center. Carlos sends it back into the zone, and the Leafs are getting a change going. 2:36 to play in the first period, no score. Panthers deflect it down into the Toronto zone. Wall missed that, but it goes to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who gets it to Matthews. And Matthews, having difficulties with Tkachuk, is able to take it away from him and find Benoit in the near boards. Benoit straight up ice to center. Tried to get it in over the line and did, then was knocked down by Seth Jones. I don't think that was interference. Would have hit by Matthews here, but it's cleared out at center. The Leafs are going to have too many men on the ice.
Yeah, they got that one.
Yeah, they got that one right.
And they got to call it. Leafs going to the bench in a line change, and I think Chris Tanev thought, you know what? Rather than give up a breakaway from the red line in, I'm going to have to eat this one. It was just, puck was in the Florida zone when the Leafs trying to get the change in, but it was swatted out to center in the midst of a change.
And right near the Leaf bench.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, if you're Chris Tanev, you got to make that executive decision to say, we'll take the penalty kill ahead of the breakaway.
Penalty kill brought to you by CMC Markets. Take your trading to the next level with $0 commission on stocks. Panthers are 4 of 22 on the power play in this series, and they win the faceoff. Back to the point it comes to Jones. Jones back to the blue line to Ekblad. Ekblad over on the far side, looking for Tkachuk back of the net, but a broken stick, and then a clearing attempt by the Leafs was knocked down. It's kept alive by the Panthers. Along the board, stolen, trying to poke it free there was the Leafs, and it is Matthews out fighting his man to get it out and down the ice.
Seen that a number of times from Matthews here in the first, winning those puck battles.
Period will end in about 5 seconds after this power play expires. Played down into the zone. Tipped back towards the blue line, but it's going to roll to center ice. Jones goes back to organize again for Florida. Jones stick handling to the red line, now to the blue line, then dropping it back. Brought in over the line by Reinhart. Reinhart gets it into the slot for Jones to the left wing side. Unable to shoot it was Tkachuk. Tkachuk gets it down back of the net though. Now to Tkachuk now on the far half boards. Looking in front with a pass that deflected off the stick and comes to the near wing. Cleared around the boards to the far side. Nyes can't get it. Back to the point it comes to Ekblad. Ekblad with a shot that deflects wide. Tkachuk in the far corner with it again. Tkachuk looking in front goes back to the net. Trying to find a band. It comes back to Barkov on the near half boards. Barkov stretching things out. Passes down low. Pass back comes to Barkov again. Back to the point. One-timer coming. Stop. Rebound. Still free in front of the goal. Battling hard for the Leafs to get it back to the blue line. Another shot blocked it away. And cleared by the Leafs down the ice. Big save made by Joey Wall. 10 seconds left in the penalty, 15 in the period. Brought to the line and in. Panthers into the corner, centering pass goes wide. Rebound's going to come to center ice, and the Leafs get by the first penalty, and the period will end with nothing on the board.
And with a penalty kill, is going to end on a high as this crowd on their feet. Saluting the guy being shown up on the scoreboard right now, and that's Joseph Wall. Heading off the ice into the Leaf dressing room. And Walt, nothing spectacular. But boy, in Game 7, the margin of error is so razor thin. He gave absolutely nothing to the Florida Panthers, and you tip your cap at the other end of the ice as well, as Sergei Bobrovsky had to make the more difficult saves. The partial break, well, it was a breakaway by Lawton, but didn't get a crisp shot off. Then you had the break by Steven Lorenz. You had the save off Willie Nylander. And Bobrovsky, probably out of his 7, had the more difficult saves to make. But Joseph Wall just gives you all kinds of confidence in there.
7 shots and probably 3, maybe 4 good scoring chances that didn't result in a shot on goal.
Yeah. So I think if you're Craig Berube, we said, I don't know how much of it was Florida, how much of it was Toronto, or what the combination was. But the Leafs, it seemed like they just had to survive that first 7 or 8 minutes to be able to get their legs and get the crowd back into this, because the whole building got really nervous for that stretch until they were able to get it going.
Well, not me. I was very calm, cool, and collected, I thought.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean you. I meant the other 19,000 people that are in here.
Good. Okay. Well, that's good.
I didn't mean to exclude you.
I don't like to be included in such frivolous things like that.
Oh,
thank you, though. All right. We'll ship it off to Jim Taddy and Anthony Stewart. No score, first period, Game 7. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050.
There's a world where New Wave rolls. First Wave, where 80s era alternative and cult classics play 24/7.
I'll stop the world and melt with you. Let me go on, like I blister in the sun.
Get your New Wave fix on First Wave, Channel 33, or listen at home with SiriusXM on your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, and other internet-connected devices and speakers.
NHL Morning Skate.
Frederik Andersen, #1 goaltender with the Canes. Congratulations on the contract extensions.
Yeah, good organization. Got high standards, and I want to push for that championship every year. And we haven't gotten to the ultimate goal, but we've been knocking on the door, and that's the perfect situation. Being on a team that's got those aspirations.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Power Play with Steve Koulias.
It's a pleasure to have back on the program Coach Joel Quenneville, back behind an NHL bench next fall.
And I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to be in Anaheim. Working with Beaker over the last couple of weeks, we're having a lot of fun. The personnel and the young kids, it kind of represents and reminds me of what we had in Chicago when I first went there. And we got a really young team that's going to be exciting to work with for sure.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Under review.
And stop making excuses for bad goaltending. And is it bad? Is it horrendous? If you don't win because you don't make a save or two, yeah. The nature of it is the goaltender is responsible for 90% of the action. He's got to stop the puck. Why do we keep making apologies for goaltending? Stop it!
Under Review with Mick Kern. 11 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. No one brings you the passion of the beautiful game quite like Sirius XM FC.
Would you believe this?
Whether it's live matches from the EPL, MLS, the NWSL, or the UEFA Champions League.
This is sensational!
Or live talk shows featuring the sport's most entertaining experts.
You don't get to say, I don't feel like making that play right now. You make the play.
It's the world of soccer at your fingertips.
How mouth-watering is that?
Sirius XM FC, channel 157 in the car, and streaming on the Sirius XM app. Sirius XM NHL Network Radio puts you on the ice.
If you're trying to describe what playoff hockey is,
well, the ebbs and the flows, the momentum changes, the willingness to sacrifice whatever it takes, whether it's blocking a shot with your face. Every opportunity matters. You know, we learn an awful lot about ourselves in the playoffs and how you rise to the challenge and are willing to do whatever it takes for the team to be successful.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91. Nothing puts you closer to the action than Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
Big news out of Vancouver. Adam Foote is the new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks.
Adam Foote's never been a head coach. And I look at the Vancouver Canucks. If they make that move, it's because they feel this is more about development. This is more about, building for the future. It's not so much about next year. Adam Foote's going to have some growing pain next year.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey is on TSN 1050 and the Leafs Radio Network. The Leafs live here.
And it is scoreless after 20 minutes of play. Game 7, TSN After 20, brought to you by Subaru. Hurry to the all-in-one event for great offers and experience all the features that come standard in a Subaru. Jim Taddy and former NHLer Anthony Stewart with you, live from Scotiabank Arena. Scoreless, and that's some sort of a moral victory considering the barrage of shot attempts in the first 6.5 minutes and a penalty kill.
Yeah, perfect way in describing it. The pendulum swung one way and then back the other way as Toronto sort of came out a little bit flat, stuck in neutral as they were pretty much hemmed in their zone for the first 10 minutes of the period. Great job by Joseph Wall. They had the it was 8 shots, but dropped back down to 6. They found a way to weather the storm before now going back on the offensive end, getting some opportunities. You saw Lawton with the breakaway. You saw Lorenz with the breakaway near the end there. So it was a pretty good counter punch by the Toronto Maple Leafs as they sort of evened it out. But I think before the penalty, the power play there for Florida, I think Florida maybe only had 1 shot in that second half of that first period. So not the ideal start, but they found a way to get momentum back into their side. They lost it, obviously, with the too many men call, but going in 0-0 with the energy and the momentum going into the second, they have to ride that wave and find a way to get the game's first goal.
Yeah, in a way, when we describe the first period, it is the series. Florida would hem the Leafs in for minutes at a time, and they certainly did at the start of this game. I had the shot attempts at 21-0, and I know they may have audited a couple out, but the Leafs had nothing in 6.5 minutes and finally chipped away at that. And the other thing is the Leafs, as you say, with Lorenz and Lawton, even Nylander had an opportunity. They get in behind the Panthers, don't they?
Yeah, they do a good job sort of sneaking in behind them. They're doing a lot of stretch zone passes and advancing the puck and sort of chipping it into speed. So great job by that. Bobrovsky, finished this period pretty strong for sitting around for the first 7.5, 8 minutes, but they were getting their opportunities. Marner almost found OEL backdoor. Yeah. Pacioretty was in the slot on a bit of a scramble play too, so sort of back and forth. I'd probably have the scoring chances close to even. My one concern on the on the Toronto Maple Leaf front, 15 block shots in the first 20 minutes. Like, they're on pace now for 45, and why I'm worried about that is because as you're blocking too many, as the game gets a little bit longer and a little bit tighter, you now sort of tend to maybe get out of the way because they've taken too many chunks out of you. But not the ideal start, but they found a way to respond. That 2-minute penalty killed a little bit of momentum. But if I'm Craig Berube, I'm saying, you know what? wasn't our best start, but we found a way to sort of get that counter punch, get back into the game. Let's keep this momentum and ride into the first half of the second period.
Yeah, I mean, if you're blocking 15 shots in 20 minutes, you're spending a lot of time in your own zone.
Yeah, but again, it's, I call it the puck possession procession where, Florida, they did have some opportunities, but a lot of it was from the outside. A lot of the shots were sort of that, 40-foot jumper here in shooting for sticks or redirects, but Wall's doing a good job in finding those pucks. The defense have done a great job in boxing out. There's no real second or third opportunities. I think Toronto probably has the edges in those second and third scrambles, so they're doing a good job protecting that interior that Berube puts so much emphasis on with his system. But anyway you dice it, you don't want to be getting stuck in your end. I think it starts with the breakouts. The neutral zone was a little bit sloppy. They weren't advancing the puck past the blue line, let alone the tops of the circles getting it on the forecheck. They weren't skating as much. As they made the pass from the defense to the winger, the puck carrier would sort of just be flaring to the side, going east-west as opposed to north-south. So a little bit more north-south hockey, advancing the puck, and ultimately getting more shots on Bobrovsky.
So let's talk about the whistle. Clearly the penalty was justified. It was too many men on the ice. They got caught in a turnover situation as they were in mid-change, and Tanev swallowed the puck wisely, so instead of giving it up and creating a breakaway. But that's the only penalty you're going to see. It was blatant. The other stuff, there's a lot of falling and tripping, whatever, that's not going to get called.
Well, if you're going to turn your blind eye to the jaywalking, you might as well turn your blind eye to that. I think they could have easily called 2 or 3 on the Florida Panthers. You saw Greer on McMahon. That's an easy hold, but I understand what they're doing. They're trying to let the guys play and not have it being decided by power plays and penalty kills. But they got caught on a bad change. But Tanev, as he said, he's probably, it's probably going to be a breakaway. I'm going to break it off. We'll take our chances on the penalty kill. So not ideal, but at least, hopefully it's going to be consistent and not be ticky-tacky. And through 20 minutes, you know what? I don't mind it.
No. So, got that sample size of 20 minutes. What do you expect? How do you expect the second period to start?
It starts with a kill, obviously, right? They got the penalty kill, but I think for them now, they want to keep that ice tilt to getting in on the forecheck, but you got to capitalize. You got that breakaway. You can't. You got to score one eventually, right?
Well, it just seems like they're like a half beat off on the breakaway, right?
Yeah, right. But again, it's the nerves. It's the moment. It is very, very big, right? But we talked about, guys that are looking to be that unsung heroes. And I mentioned Lorentz's. I mentioned the Laughtons. The team is sort of, on Florida, isolating and really keying in on the top 2 lines. If you're going to get those opportunities, you got to make the most of it.
We're going to call that guy the next statue.
Bronze. What's below bronze there? 4th place, whatever material that is.
Nickel's big around here, so
copper. Yeah.
Tariffed. Anyway, so obviously the Leafs weathered the storm there, and we're better for it. And there's an ultimate lesson about bend but don't break is that first 7 minutes.
They easily could have been down 2-0, but they found a way to sort of stay in the game and actually get momentum back. And we said it could have been 2-0, but Toronto, they had 2 or 3 legitimate scoring chances. Yeah. They just have to make the most of it for the final 40 minutes.
Yeah, both teams will take scoreless after 20 minutes, which is where we are. This is Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey. Wherever you are, we are right here. TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Ow! Sweetie, come here. Don't worry. I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing.
Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door?
Or is it more than...
Dr. Clark's business is heating up.
So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them?
They need to hire a scheduler, stat.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/claim now and get $100 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Alpine News Network is here live with one of our superheroes.
The secret to my super strength? A mega-calorie diet. And my super strong muscles are exactly what Ann and Kate needed. They wanted a backyard with a tiki bar. You know the vibes. They were approved for a home renovation loan. And I got these powerful hands dirty. Their backyard is now glorious.
Own your home? Need a loan? Alpine Credits can help.
Alpine Credits, where homeowners get approved. Just for license 12616.
From the biggest stadiums to the coziest holes in the wall. From house parties to porch hangs to pride celebrations. From your favorite fuss shop to your local Indian spot. From noodle bars to sports bars to salsa bars. There's a Molson with your name on it. Canadian Ultra XL. Molson. Everyone in. Must be legal drinking age.
When you get a Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and class-leading safety included, it's like you also get a Subaru that comes with your very own golf club holder, stadium parking navigator, a basketball team transporter, a remote cottage finder, a beaver spotter, a coach hauler, bear country guide, a family road trip carrier, a muddy road controller, extreme wind stabilizer, plus a... And we're out of time. Subaru is the multi-tool that masters every unpredictable weather condition. Visit your local Subaru dealer for great lease and finance options.
Your sneakers are staring directly at you. You try to look away, but you can't. You're laced to face. They're saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your six-pack won't be either. But you've got to start somewhere. Stop staring. Put us on. Take that first step, or lunge, or squat. Start small. Start somewhere. Join for $7.99 every 2 weeks at fitforlast.ca and experience fitness simplified. Some conditions apply. Fit for Last. Everybody happy.
The out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by Maple Toyota. You don't have to go to town for a great new Tundra RAV4 gas or hybrid. Maple Toyota has them in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. So no other game tonight. This is it. So let's go back to this game. In the first 6.5 minutes, Panthers had 21 shot attempts and the Leafs 0. At the end of the period, Panthers had 36 shot attempts, 9 that got through, and the Leafs 17, 7 that got through. And as we detailed nicely with Stu, I think if you had to compare scoring chances between the two, it'd be dead even. In fact, maybe the Leafs had the better of the opportunities with a couple of breakaways. But it is scoreless after 20 minutes of play. Oh, yes, Guy. The second period is next. Molson Canadian Leafs Hockey on TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and the Leafs Radio Network.
Sports are all about moments.
One of the most incredible, miraculous finishes we have ever seen.
And you can hear them all.
He scores! Alex Ovechkin! There's a new goal-scoring champion!
As they happen.
Oh my goodness! Shohei Ohtani, a sayonara swing!
Live in the moment.
Rory McIlroy on his knees. He's won the Masters.
With live sports on Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Frederik Andersen, #1 goaltender with the Canes. Congratulations on the contract extension.
Yeah, good organization. Have high standards, and I want to push for that championship every year. And we haven't gotten to the ultimate goal, but we've been knocking on the door, and that's the perfect situation. Being on a team that's got those aspirations.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
It's a pleasure to have back on the program Coach Joel Quenneville, back behind an NHL bench next fall.
And I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to be in Anaheim. Working with Beaker over the last couple of weeks, we're having a lot of fun. The personnel and the young kids, it kind of represents and reminds me of what we had in Chicago when I first went there. And we got a really young team that's going to be exciting to work with for sure.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
No one brings you the passion of the beautiful game quite like SiriusXM FC.
Would you believe this?
Whether it's live matches from the EPL, MLS, the NWSL, or the UEFA Champions League.
This is sensational!
Or live talk shows featuring the sport's most entertaining experts.
You don't get to say, I don't feel like making that play right now. You make the play.
It's the world of soccer at your fingertips.
How mouth-watering is that?
SiriusXM FC, channel 157 in the car, and streaming on the SiriusXM app.
Hockey lives here.
Suzuki sweeps it. There's a chance. Rebound, Caulfield shoots and scores.
NHL Play-by-Play on SiriusXM.
No score after 20 minutes of play. The second period is brought to you by Molson, whether it's Canadian Ultra Export or Excel. There's a Molson with your name on it. The Leafs blocked 15 shots in that first period, most of them in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, a few with the power play near the end as well. But that was really the story of Game 6 as well, right? All the blocks by the Leafs.
Leafs
over 30. Was it at 31?
Yep.
32?
Yep. And it has been their DNA from the start of this season. And Chris Tanev has been the leader in that department throughout the course of the season.
I'll tell you, Chris and his brother Brandon, we just saw in the playoffs with Winnipeg. I hope they had great childhoods. I assume they do, because as adults they've taken just beaten, and you give them credit. That's character.
Puck is dropped and we're underway as the Leafs poke it to the blue line, but quickly played to center and then shot into Florida territory. Out of the net, Bobrovsky giving it into the corner. Big hit there, and the Leafs play it back in along the boards. And
somebody's hurt. A linesman or referee.
Linesman is down.
No, a referee, yeah.
Yep.
And that was a high stick from Mikkola that I believe came up and got the official.
And they're calling for maybe a stretcher. Yeah, they're asking for a doctor or somebody to come out onto the ice here.
Boy, I mean, you just told. It looked like it came up under
the visor and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So a dangerous situation here. And the doctor coming onto the ice. I'm not sure which official it is, and they're bringing the stretcher out right away.
Yeah, I believe it's...
no, now they're waving the stretcher off. Okay.
I believe it's Johnny Bear, Joe, that is down.
All right.
Yeah, that high stick in the corner came right up underneath the visor.
Garrett Rank is the backup referee.
Boy, and there's some blood in the corner.
Yeah.
Right along the boards.
And that is a scary situation, and they are very quickly out there now. The stretcher is on the ice, but it's down 2 hour left, and has people there have stopped and not gone to the fallen official, who is now up and being assisted off by a trainer from either team. So we are going to be maybe playing old-time hockey here with one referee.
Well, no, they'll have the replacement ref out, I believe, fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure what situation they must have to have them almost sitting with equipment on.
Yeah, in the room.
In the room.
Yep.
They have got the, and here he is. Wow. So Garrett Rank has come on to replace Jean Hebert.
But yeah, we certainly hope Jean Hebert is okay. As you know, in some ways you shake your head and say, how doesn't this happen more often? So many sticks coming up. But he leaves the ice, and I believe the face-off will stay in the Florida zone to the left of Sergei Bobrovsky.
A scary moment for the officials here.
Of course, it may not feel like a huge bonus right now, but you've got some of the best medical staffs in the world on hand right away to be able to diagnose, assess, and get them the proper treatment as soon as possible. And this comes just 13 seconds here into the second period. And as you could imagine, it's sort of taken the light
out of the building a little bit, hasn't it? Yeah, they're still working on the ice, cleaning up where the blood.
And I mean, you and I will never forget that fateful day in Ottawa.
No, I will never, ever forget that. Brian Berard on a high stick by Kosa. Lost the sight in his eye.
Yep, miraculously, was still able to come back and play after that. Looks like we're about to get going here.
Well, we got some water that
they've been doing the glass now.
Wow. Yep.
In the corner. So a scary moment. I mean, it doesn't always take something like this. You could look at what the Winnipeg Jets and Mark Scheifele went through yesterday. That as much as this is a sport and people are passionate, it's not life and death.
No, and it's played by people, right? People with feelings and issues and everything else. And to the Scheifele's, Kitchener native, our deepest sympathy.
Yes, and the entire Winnipeg Jet family.
Yep. Here we go. Face off to the left in the Florida zone is controlled by the Panthers. Around back of the net for Sam Reinhart. He's going to flip it high to the line. It's volleyballed out at center, but now carried back by Florida and shot into the near corner. It goes around back of the net. Jake McCabe got there first to get it up on the wing, and the Leafs Marner chops it out at center ice. Jones has to go back in his own zone. Errant pass controlled by Toronto at their own blue line. Brandon Carlo flipping it in, but it's going to be from the wrong side of center. And an icing call will come here to send the face-off back in the Toronto zone.
Well, Carlo kind of had the option of trying to hit Matthew Nyes in the middle of the ice. I don't know if he thought Nyes was going to stay on and maybe be the first one into the loose puck on the right wing side, but Nyes had kind of peeled away as that line was going for a line chase.
Face-off to the right of Joseph Woll. Draw one by Florida. Tkachuk with a shot that deflects to the far side. A drive is kicked away by goaltender Woll, and the puck is pushed out at center ice by Toronto. They'll get the rest of the change going. Errant pass now the other way, and it will be waved off on a generous wave by the linesman. The puck around back of the Toronto goal. Brandon Carlo was going to step into his man, and Tavares is able to get it out at center. Pontus Holmberg trying to create a disturbance there, but the puck comes back to center ice, and the Leafs have it now at their own blue line. A rink-wide pass is backhanded down into the zone. It goes wide of the net. Holmberg into the forecheck, but can't get to it before Bennett sends it around to his defense, and it's played out at center ice. Reinhart getting it over on the left wing side for Bennett. Bennett kicking it back. Marchand shot went wide. Kept in now, and the Leafs have it in the corner and sending it around the boards. It'll come to center ice. Going to get shot right back in again, though. And it is Benoit on the far boards, mishandling the puck. Gets back against the boards, but it is Marchand trying to come out in front. Knocked away by the Leafs. But again, Pontus, or at least Yarncrook, could come up with it. Marchand in around back of the net. Marchand to the far point. Gets it back there to Kulikov, and a shot in traffic went wide. Batted at, but not out. Here's another shot. Stopped by Woll and grabbed off by Benoit. Cleared to the line, but not out again. And now it does come to center. Yarncrook will send it down into Florida territory to allow a change.
Why not? Many times are you going to get three opportunities to clear and not pay for it.
Domi in on the left wing was knocked down from behind by Nosek. The puck around to the side of the goal. It came off the side of the goal, and now Pacioretty back to the point to Tanev. Quickly to the far side to McCabe. McCabe trying to send it in, and it comes to center ice, and Carlo has to wait patiently to touch it because he might have had too many men on the ice. Now a shot from the left wing by Greer is swallowed up by Woll on a fairly easy save that took him right into the chest. And he'll stop play to bring a face-off in the Toronto end. No score. We're approaching 3 minutes played in the second period of this Game 7.
Really, the Leafs are starting this period, Joe, like they did the first. There's some hiccups in their own zone, inability to clear, not as organized through the center ice area, and not much offensive zone time.
Face off to the right of Joey Woll. As we mentioned, Anthony Stolars is in uniform and backing up here this evening. which is great news there. But the Panthers keep the puck in at the point with a long shot that went well wide. Pinching down Mikula. He gets trapped, and the Leafs trying to take advantage as Nyes gets it ahead to Matthews in across the line. Matthews looking for Marner. Marner back to the point to Carlo with a shot, and that didn't reach the net as it was blocked in front. Pushed out at center ice. Brought in over the line now by Seth Jones. Breaking to the net. A shot. He scores. Jones coming into the rush down the right wing. Opens the scoring as the Leafs get trapped. And the veteran defenseman has made it 1-0 Panthers.
It was Morgan Riley, Joe, that stepped up in front of the Florida bench to try to keep the play in. It was chipped past him to Seth Jones. Brandon Carlo decides he's going to play it as a 2-on-1 and take the pass away. And Jones with the perfect shot. And, you know, this is just where you got to think like they did in Game 6. Defense first. You collapse. Back.
Third goal of the playoffs for Jones on a bullet that went over the shoulder of Wall and into the top corner.
That's really their first chance off the rush, isn't it?
Yep. Forsling shooting it down into the Toronto zone. Played into the corner, and now Benoit will start out with a flip high to center ice that's knocked down. Chipped ahead by Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but the linesmen say it was over and back, and the faceoff is going to come into the center ice circle.
Well, 2 games out of the 6 that did not see the team that scored first win. We're Game 2 here in Toronto. Panthers opened the scoring. In Game 3 in Florida, where the Leafs not only had the first goal, but the first 2 goals of the game before the Panthers came back, won that one in overtime.
Shot down into Florida territory. Bobrovsky leaving it there for Forsling. Forsling, a bank pass out at center and brought in over the line now on the left wing side by Verhaeghe. Played into the corner, chipped back of the net by Tanev. Tanev gets it back again, plays it off the wing, and now Nylander just gets it to center where it's now shot quickly right back into the Toronto end. Panthers are changing as Tanev gets it ahead on the right side. Brought in over the line by Pontus Holmberg. Holmberg taken to the boards, but got it into the corner for Tavares, who sends it around to the near wing for Nylander. Nylander to the point, long shot in traffic, doesn't get through, and it is brought to center ice by Kulikov. Kulikov in on the left wing. Trying to drive there is Lundell. Broken up now, and it is Marchand coming out of the corner with a pass in front that goes back to the point. Kulikov keeps it in. Near side for Schmidt. A shot in traffic that didn't get through. Here's Marchand with it again. Got around one. Played it off on the left wing. Schmidt with it once more. Back to Marchand. Shot coming. Blocked there by Benoit. But again, the Panthers have this scrum going as it comes in front of the net, and it is taken to safety finally by Nylander. Off the boards for Domi. Domi getting it back, and Willie comes through center. Nylander in on the right side with a shot. That was knocked away by Bobrovsky. Played down into the corner. Leafs trying to get back onto the puck, but it is grabbed off by Nate Schmidt, and Schmidt will airmail it high to the Toronto zone. Gobbled up there and sent wide of the Toronto net. Domi chipping it out at center ice, but out of the reach of Steven Lorenz. And now shot right back down into the Toronto zone. Wall to his defenseman, played off the boards but not out, and then a shot blocked by Domi comes to center, but it's quickly shot right back into the Toronto zone. Carlo, a long lead pass off the stick of Yarncrook into Florida territory to allow the Leafs to get a change going. Pass up on the near wing, and Rodriguez will come out of the zone. Injured early in this series, but back into the lineup for the deciding 7th game. Tanev around back of the Toronto goal. Into the corner for Jake McCabe. Up ahead and a tip pass to the near wing for Nyes. He's going to rattle it in around the boards to the far side. In goes Matthews after it. The puck is pushed up on the wing but not out. Around back of the net for Marner. Marner in the corner. Marner cycles the puck back, but Matthews misread that, and it's cleared by Florida down to the far boards and down into the Toronto zone. Leafs go back to recover the puck. Got it ahead on the wing now for Benoit. Benoit lead pass to the left wing side for Domi. Tried to flip it in for Bobby McMahon. He played it in front of the net, but no one there. And it is brought to the red line and in over the line. And what a hit by Domi as he crumples for Hagee at the blue line. The pass is deflected down into the Toronto or into the Florida zone. Domi around back of the net. Domi trying to get it away from Bennett, but couldn't. And it's cleared by the Panthers to get it out at center ice. Left wing side for Hagee. Verhaeghe stopping it up, plays it around into the far corner for Marchand. Marchand unable to get to it, he was knocked down. And now the puck comes free and the Leafs are able to get it out at center ice. Pacioretty with a long shoot in that's gloved by Bobrovsky, and he'll play on to get it out at center. Lundell in across the line for Marchand, a shot. That was stopped as a rebound. The puck goes around back of the net. Marchand getting it back to the point. Mikkola sends it back into the corner. Marchand, a shot. Big save, rebound, scores! Anton Lundell on a rebound. And the Florida Panthers have jumped to a 2-0 lead.
Another shift where the Leafs get hemmed into their own zone. And this is a shot from a rough angle, and I don't know whether this gets redirected, the initial shot, before it gets to Joseph Woll. But it's on the left wing. He's out square to the shot, and it goes off Woll and perfectly out the other way. And it might have been loose terrain, and Joe, that, yeah, you know what, this is deflected right in front of Woll. It's about chest high when he goes down on the butterfly, and it goes off his right pad, deflected straight down, and then the perfect rebound.
Fourth of the playoffs for Lundell, and the Leafs have got a huge hill to try and climb now. They play it into the Florida zone. Matthews into the forecheck, misses on a hit there on Barkov. Panthers get it out at center ice again. And to the line and in now on the right wing side. Rodriguez playing it into the side of the goal. Gets it back again. Tied up there by Tanev. And now McCabe getting it back to Tanev, who finds Nyes. And Nyes will play it high to center ice. Kicked by Marner. Left wing side and back for Marner on the right wing. Marner can't get there in time, but it is knocked high in the air. And the Panthers are able to fling it out at center. Barkov had it knocked off his stick by Tanev. Tanev into the corner against Barkov, jams him to the boards. Barkov couldn't handle the puck. Leafs are able to get it freed up for Marner, and Marner will play it ahead for Matthews. Matthews with Nyes across the line. Got a shot away, but it was well wide of the net, and it caroms back of the goal. Panthers get it back out at center and play it down into the Toronto end. Yarncrook hustling back after it to get it into the far corner for Brandon Carlo. Carlo's pass gets to the line, but not out. Played back in. Carlo intercepts that. Then he tried to make a pass that went off a leg. Leafs are able to come away with it. Benoit gets to center and sends it in. Into the rush now is Scotty Lawton centering in front, and the shot by Lorenz was blocked. Cleared out at center ice by the Panthers. Near side for Marchand. Marchand is bodied there by Lorenz. And Riley has the puck up on the wing, but Marchand is able to come away with it, but the Leafs get it to the line, but not out. Sent into the far corner. Puck around back into the far wing, and now Lorenz starts out with a lead pass, trying to find Lawton, who was at the blue line. Leafs getting a change in. 2-0 Florida here, all in the second period. Played around into the far corner. Hustling after it is Thomas Nosek. Nosek playing it back of the net. Leafs are slow to get to it. Pinching down is Mikkola. Now back of the net, Toronto with possession. And they'll work it around the boards and now try to come out with it. It was Tavares. Bank pass to center. Nylander couldn't get to it. Brought back in now by Jones. Centering pass. Big save. Rebound in front of the goal. They score. Oh, my. Another turnover and another goal. It's 3-0 Florida. Gadjevic with the goal.
Boy, this could be offside. I don't know if Gadjevic actually cleared the zone when the puck was brought back in. Leafs turned the puck over at center.
No, it is offside, yes.
The Leafs, boy, this could be. I mean, this is a gift. But I think this is going to be looked at right away. The Leafs are looking to make sure, but first glimpse we got was up on the scoreboard. We've yet to see it on the monitors here in the booth that are giving us. Boy.
It's not?
And unless, I don't know how the scoreboard really looked as though play was about a foot offside.
They're going to face it off here.
We still haven't seen a replay on the monitor.
Well, it's too late now.
Let's hope.
And the fans are booed because they saw it on the screen as well. Oh, my. Here's Barkov in with a shot. Wall blockers that away. Another drive from the point. And the stick comes up and clips one of the Leafs.
And that was Marner, but it's on a follow-through, so it's not going to be a penalty.
How? Well, hometown television hasn't helped the Leafs out here.
No.
Have they? Well, we've got a break in the action, but it's been all Florida, and it's 3-0. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
At Canada's Wonderland, we're serious about our guests having fun. Seriously. Just listen to our park opening sale. Buy a 2025 Silver Pass for only $89 and get unlimited visits through Labor Day. Unlimited upside-down loops, unlimited ice cream cone licks, unlimited super spinny swings. Told you we were serious. New this summer, brave the elements with Alpenfury, Canada's first and fiercest launch coaster. Save $10 when you get your 2025 Silver Pass online at canadaswonderland.com. Plus processing fees up to $9.99 and applicable taxes.
Thanks to IKEA, my bedroom feels extra sleepy. These new blackout curtains keep it extra dark, and my new duvet keeps me extra cozy. But it also made my nighttime extra boring, because the monster under my bed is sleeping better too. Hey, buddy, wake up. Hey.
Don't scare me like that. What are you trying to do to me? Jeez.
Visit IKEA today and start sleeping better tomorrow with everything you need for the bedroom of your dreams.
When you get a Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and class-leading safety included, it's like you also get a Subaru that comes with your very own golf club holder, stadium parking navigator, a basketball team transporter, a remote cottage finder, a beaver spotter, a coach hauler, bear country guide, a family road trip carrier, a muddy road controller, extreme wind stabilizer, plus a... And we're out of time. Subaru is the multi-tool that masters every unpredictable weather condition. Visit your local Subaru dealer for great lease and finance options.
That was right from the blue line.
We are back here and still wondering why that angle that we saw on the big board above center ice and everybody else was seeing, why it has not been shown on a replay.
Yeah, and I just saw the end zone replay on it, and it looked like Gadjevic was trying to get out of the zone before it was being brought back in, but boy, the one we saw on the scoreboard, wow. You wonder, because you see the cameras, Joe, right down there on the blue line.
Wow. Well, that hill is now a mountain. Down around back of the net in the Toronto zone. Mikkola got it freed up, and the Leafs come away with it and bring it out at center ice as Lawton gets it ahead for Yarncrook, who sends it in. Lorenz going into the corner with Reinhart. The puck comes free, and out come the Panthers with it again. They'll get to center, and in it goes. And the Leafs have to go back after it as it comes to center. Brought in over the line by Lorenz, trying to find Yarncrook. It comes back to Lorenz, and a bouncing puck would not behave for him. He couldn't get a shot at the net. Oliver Ekman-Larsson getting it up on the right side for Max Domi. Domi to the line, can't get into the zone. Back come the Panthers now, and they've got an odd man rush developing here. Good play made there by Benoit to knock it away. The puck still in the Toronto zone, though. Here is Verhaeghe sending it around the boards to the far side, kept in there at the point. Around to the near side. Pacioretty couldn't get it away from Verhaeghe. Comes to the side of the goal, down his wall, trying to keep his foot on the post. The puck comes back. He's lost his goal stick. Back to the point it goes. Kept alive by Mikkola. Near side for Verhaeghe. Puck to the side of the net. Wall trying to get his stick again and has. It comes back to the goal for Marchand. Marchand getting it back into the slot. Wrist shot just off the far post and wide. Bobby McMahon can't get it out. Kept in by Florida. Boy, this has been just an absolute example of unbelievable forechecking, and another shot is blocked by Wall. The rebound comes in front of the net, down his Wall, and they get a quick whistle.
I'll tell you, if this was a heavyweight fight, they might want to stop it. Because right now, the Leafs are being outshot 11-1 in the second period. It was 7-0 to start the first. It's now 11-1 here in the second period. And the Florida Panthers have all three that have found the net.
3-0 Florida. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple.
NHL Morning Skate.
Frederik Andersen, number one goaltender with the Canes. Congratulations on the contract extensions.
Yeah, good organization. I have high standards, and I want to push for that championship every year. And we haven't gotten to the ultimate goal, but we've been knocking on the door, and that's the perfect situation. Being on a team that's got those aspirations.
NHL Morning Skate
with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellar.
Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern
on NHL Network Radio,
Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen. Walks in. Put it between his legs. Shoots it. Score!
NHL Play-by-Play on Sirius XM.
Under review.
And stop making excuses for bad goaltending. And is it bad? Is it horrendous? If you don't win because you don't make a save or two, yeah. The nature of it is the goaltender is responsible for 90% of the action. He's got to stop the puck. Why do we keep making apologies for goaltending? Stop it!
Under review
with Mick Kern.
11 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio,
Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. Sirius XM NHL Network Radio puts you on the ice.
If you're trying to describe what playoff hockey is,
well, the ebbs and the flows, the momentum changes, the willingness to sacrifice whatever it takes, whether it's blocking a shot with your face. Every opportunity matters. You know, we learn an awful lot about ourselves in the playoffs and how you rise to the challenge and are willing to do whatever it takes for the team to be successful.
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Now, apparently on the TNT television coverage of the game tonight, that play was as clear as a bell to being offside. And so, whatever reason, whoever has it down in for
and you would just
Sam Kim and I mean, they have been so good at this all year long. And here's another turnover, and here the Panthers back into the attack. On the near side and into the corner, comes back to the blue line. Mikkola sending it around the boards for Barkov. Barkov challenge. Matthews can't get it out, but Pacioretty does to find Marner, but it bounced over his stick. Panthers are going to send it right back out at center. Matthews unable to get to it. Played to the line and in. Leafs get it back, and Matthews turns. Austin Matthews trying to flip it in for Pacioretty. That goes wide, and they're going to call an icing.
I mean, you would think if you're not going to call the obvious interference. I mean, Mikkola reaches out with his left hand to obstruct Pacioretty from getting in, and let's put it this way. You know you're in trouble when we're talking about icings not going their way as if it's a turning point. Shots are 21-8. Favoring the Florida Panthers here with 7:38 to go in the second period. 3-0 Florida.
Boy, the hill is so high that the third one is just a killer. Here's another chance in front of the goal and a shot. That was stopped by the seat of the pants of Brandon Carlo, who was down on all fours at the side of the net.
Boy, the Leafs have got to turn it on here. This has been an onslaught.
Deflected down into the Florida zone. Bobrovsky out of the cage to find his defense. Forsling gets it ahead. And on the left wing, Sam Bennett is into the Leaf zone. Bennett trying to get around Riley gets it into the far corner. Verhaeghe getting it back to the slot. A shot that was kicked away by Wall. Puck along the far wing, but the Leafs don't get it out initially, but now do. Carried to center by Morgan Riley. Riley and over the line as Tavares goes to the front of the net, but a weak shot is taken easily on the chest by Bobrovsky and held for a face-off.
It's the second shot for the Leafs here in the second period, and I'll be honest with you, I don't remember the other one.
No.
Shots 13-2.
Gadjevich gets his second goal.
Remember, it was Gadjevich that Joseph Wall in Game 2 made that huge save off of. With the Leafs holding on to a one-goal lead. Now, the other narrative, Joe, is going to be hanging in is that the Leafs can't score in these series-deciding games. Just one in Boston a year ago in Game 7.
Draw to the right of the Florida goal, controlled by the Panthers. Luosterainen getting it up on the boards, and it's cleared to the line but not out. Kept in by Morgan Riley. His shot went wide. Leafs trying to get a cycle job going here to try and maintain some possession in the offensive zone. Domi back to Riley. Riley now to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, whose shot exploded off a leg. It goes around back of the net. Domi gets it back of the goal for Pontus Holmberg. Holmberg back to Riley. A shot that was deflected. It goes to the line and out. And Jake McCabe has to go back to recover. Now trying to get it over the line on the right wing side. McCabe sends it around to the far side as Nylander is off the bench into the corner there. Willie ties his man up on the boards. Domi trying to dig it free. The puck in along the wall. Trying to chop at it now. Lorenz is the makeshift line out here at this point. Lorenz against the boards but can't come up with it. Panthers are going to just get it high to center ice and back into the Leaf end. McCabe being pressured, gets it back for Tanev on the right wing. Tanev with a quick pass and finds Scotty Lawton, who sends a long shoot in that is going to be covered up by Bobrovsky with 5:34 to go here in the second period. The Florida Panthers have exploded for 3 unanswered goals. It is 3-0 in favor of the defending Stanley Cup champions in Game 7. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on TSN 1050 and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp now for free information on how to get started today. InventHelp provides invention services that help everyday inventors get started with their idea. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. Our services include professional materials needed to showcase your invention and 3D animation and prototype modeling that help you demonstrate your idea. Get down to the details of your idea with a technical drawing. The InventHelp Databank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Take advantage of the opportunity to get started today.
Call 1-800-353-6081. That's 1-800-353-6081. Again, 1-800-353-6081.
Tonight, when your head hits the pillow, appreciate that you have a pillow. And if you get up to use the bathroom, be thankful you have a bathroom. Because things you take for granted are not granted to everyone. What else are you taking for granted? Don't let homelessness assumptions get in the way of homelessness solutions. Go to CanadaCanDoIt.ca. Help the Canadian Alliance to end homelessness.
Face off in the Florida zone to the left of Sergei Bobrovsky. The Leafs had 7 shots in the first period. They've had 3 here, and 2 of them have been from outside the blue line.
And they need something good to happen here in the last 5:34 to have any kind of belief going into the third period.
Matthews, Pacioretty, and Marner. And the draw one and a shot by Marner deflected wide as it's cleared out and down the ice now by Florida, but there won't be icing because it won't reach the end line. Oliver Ekman-Larsson takes his man to the boards. Marner couldn't come up with it. Now off Marner, he's able to stick handle with it, and the puck comes in front of the net, and the Leafs are going to bank it out at center. But Pacioretty couldn't handle it. Shot right back down into the Toronto zone. Wall giving it to Morgan Riley. Leafs are changing as the pass comes ahead for Marner, but he unable to deflect it, and it's brought back and driving the net. Seth Jones, who scores!
No goal. They're waving this one off. But I don't know how you wave it off. I think it's in before Jones makes contact with Joseph Wall. And even though they've waved it off, I have a feeling this one is going to count.
Well, we got no audio coming from the official, but they waved the goal off.
And Florida's going to look at this. I mean, I'll be honest, I just don't see it. I know Jones is falling and does make contact into the Leaf goaltender.
And let's see if the Panthers are going to challenge this. Part of the dissection.
Oh, you know what?
Is he kicking?
This actually goes in off his skate. I don't know if you'd call it a kicking motion, but now I thought it went in a lot cleaner than that, Joe.
Yeah.
But looking at the replay,
well,
if it's now goaltender interference as much as it is possibly a kicking motion. I just think he's falling, so that's not the kicking motion. I think because of the delay, it was the goalie interference that did not allow Wall to do his plays.
They are looking at this. Is this a challenge by Florida? If it doesn't happen, the Leafs are going to get a power play out of this. But
no, we just saw up on the board that it's an NHL review.
All right.
But look, this.
Oh, yeah. No, well, yeah. It's not a.
Unless, I don't think you can say that he's being pushed in.
Well, his skate kicks at it.
It almost goes in off Wall. But the bottom line is there interference? And if there is, did he avoid contact? Was he on that line to make contact with Wall? Looks like Leafs are they didn't survive the third goal, but they get a brief reprieve here. But it was an NHL review, not a challenge by the Panthers, so no penalty.
One of the things about all of this is, and it will be brought out, obviously, tomorrow, depending on what happens, is Sportsnet's inability to show that replay. And now puck in the Toronto zone and brought out by Nylander. Alley-ooped it through center, knocked down by the Panthers, sent right back in again for Tkachuk. Tkachuk stands up, gets it back to the point of drive, and that was blocked by Wall. Another shot coming, and it's high and wide of the goal. Tkachuk in the corner on the far side, trying to get it away from Benoit. Gets it in along the boards. Nylander unable to get it away from Tkachuk as it comes back to the point. Near side now for Forsling. A shot! Bouncing puck in front of the goal, comes back to Forsling. Forsling on the right wing side. Leafs being hemmed in their own zone again. Around the boards to the near side. Kept in now at the point. Forsling with a shot. Wall save. Rebound. Stopped by Wall again. And the Leafs finally get a hold of it, but nowhere to go with it. Because one of the Leafs has broken a stick, and that was Yarncrook. The pass went to Yarncrook, and he didn't have a stick. Panthers again with it on the far side. Back to the blue line for Schmidt. Schmidt shot deflects into the corner. Tired group here for Toronto. Here's Marchand centering, and a shot is swallowed up by Wall, and mercifully he will stop play.
Boy, and through all the excitement coming back here after the Game 6 win, you can feel the crowd going from nervous to agitated. 25-10 the shots. I mean, the offensive zone time, any kind of assault, has been missing from the Leafs here in the second period. 3 goals in 6 minutes and 24 seconds by the Florida Panthers here in the second period of the Leafs on the brink.
71 attempts at goal by Florida. 30 for the Maple Leafs. That's ridiculous.
It's another simple play up the boards. Can't get it out.
And now the Leafs have iced the puck.
Now the Leafs needed a repeat of Game 6. And instead, it's been a repeat of Game 5. Still time. We've seen some miracles here in the postseason. But the offensive miracle isn't usually from your own end.
Face off to the right of Joseph Wall. And the draw scrummed. And again, Florida with the shot that goes wide of the net. Jones at the right point, keeping it in. Another shot deflects wide of the goal and back of the net. Tkachuk. Tkachuk with it again. Riley can't get to it. Now he does, and he gets it to Marner. And Marner, most he can do is just get it out. Now here's Matthews to Marner in across the line. Marner on the far half wall. Works into the corner. Tries to center. It does come off the stick of Bobrovsky. But out come the Panthers again with it with Tkachuk. Tkachuk to the red line and just sending it into the Toronto zone. Round back of the net for Carlo. Leafs get it ahead and bringing it out is Scotty Lawton. Lawton to the line, trying to flip it in on the near side for Bobby McMahon. Cleared right back down the ice, though, by Florida. Tanev along the boards had it cut off by Luosterainen. Luosterainen around to the far side for Kulikov. He misses it. It goes down the ice. Trying to get to it with Pacioretty. He was too well covered, but the Leafs do come up with the loose puck. They'll shoot it wide of the net. Carlo on the near side, or at least McCabe, is taken down. And now the Panthers getting it out at center. There's been just one power play in the game. That was in the first period on a too many men on the ice penalty. Minute 50 to go. Second period. Leafs get it out at center. Trying to chip it along the boards. It'll be shot down into the Toronto end. Out of the net is Wall. Tucking it along, and back of the net it'll go for Morgan Riley. Up ahead for John Tavares. Tavares to the line on the wing for Pontus Holmberg. A backhand went 10 feet wide of the net. Leafs unable to come up with it as it's played to center ice by Florida. Played ahead and backhanded to the line by Nyes, but he can't get it into the zone. Leafs will regroup it back in their own zone with a minute 12 to go in a disastrous second period. Oliver Ekman-Larsson will shoot it in. Around the boards to the near side, chopped back out at center, cut off there by Marner. Marner will launch it high into the left wing corner, and Max Domi is in pursuit. Puck to the line, got past Benoit and sails down into the Toronto zone. And ice.
Pulled back, and Verhaeghe able to jump on it. He'll push it out of the zone past McCabe. Race down to our left. McCabe tries to keep it from Verhaeghe. Sent around the end boards, Ekman-Larsson. Back in near side, Domi. Punched it out to center, and Forsling will toss it back over the line. Domi cuts it off. Domi left side. In for the Leafs, McCabe on the wing. A shot left pad save made by Bobrovsky. The puck immediately cleared by Nosek, and a race down to our left. Ekman-Larsson tries to keep it away from Luosterainen. Ekman-Larsson up the far boards, off the skate of Nosek. Panthers hold the zone. Right side, Nosek down low, looking for Marchand. Didn't connect there. Ekman-Larsson over on the far boards with it. And Ekman-Larsson's going to walk this ahead. Again, you have Nosek with Marchand and Luosterainen. Lawrence will flip it down to our right. Into the far corner, Seth Jones back to handle it for the Panthers. And 3-0 Panthers as period number 2 comes to a close. And the Leafs faithful here at Scotiabank Arena, none too happy as they boo the Leafs off the ice following 2 periods of action. Music to the ears of the Panthers.
Yeah, Seth Jones, all that time in Chicago, he's having a game for the ages for himself. He gets that opening goal, and not only offensively but defensively, and impressed. And Paul Maurice has been putting them out there against the Matthews line. They've been able to shut him down, but also get a couple of goals to go their way. And Seth Jones nearly had his second goal of the game, has a goal and an assist in that second period. And the Panthers, that was one-way traffic. That is, can you handle the heat? If you can't, get out of the kitchen. And Maple Leafs unable to handle the heat there in that second period. It was ferocious. And the Panthers just came shift after shift. And after getting that opening goal, sustaining that momentum, keeping it on your side, getting to it 2-0, 3-0, and just they never sat back in the shell at all there in that second period. They were out there. They could smell that the Leafs were under duress. They're starting to create turnovers at the blue line. All of a sudden the Leafs now, they like that dump and chase grind game. It's not there. You're not going to dump and chase and grind and be able to get 3 goals against this Panther team. They're trying to make plays at the blue line. That's where the Panthers, with that gap control, that 1-3-1, they can tighten up those gaps. And you saw it on that second goal. They're looking for that Nylander, that long pass, and all of a sudden, instead of staying behind Nylander, Jones just jumps in front of him.
Yep.
And the third goal, is able to jump in front of Nylander and start that play to the net, get it to Greer. The rebound goes on the stick of Gadjevich. And what can you say with that adjustment from Paul Maurice, putting those 3 players together, and Gadjevich with his second goal of the playoffs. Those guys work so darn hard. And Marchand, again, he's been in this situation. An assist on the Lundell goal, get the pucks in the net, great rebounds. And this Panther team was able to get 2 rebound goals in that second period, and that was the rest. That's what we saw, and that's what we come to expect. And the ability of this team to rise to the occasion. They got to do it for one more period, but it goes to the experience and goes to that DNA into that locker room, and it matters most. They have brought it so far tonight here against the Leafs.
Panthers putting on a clinic in period number 2, no doubt about that. 3-0 through 2 periods, Game 7. Panthers 20 minutes away from a third straight trip to the Eastern Conference Final. Jameson Olive ready to join us here on the other side. He'll visit with Kevin Rogers. They'll break it all down in After 40. Stats and highlights to come. A look around the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs, telling you what's to come, and then also your tweets. At Doug Plagans. Tweet the broadcast. At Lindsay B. Hockey. Looking forward to hearing from you. 3-0 the Panthers over Toronto. All rights to this broadcast are reserved. Any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the Florida Panthers and the National Hockey League is expressly prohibited. The Panthers 3 and the Toronto Maple Leafs 0 through 2 periods here in Game 7 of Round 2. Coming up on the other side, Kevin Rogers and Jameson Olive take it away. Doug Plagans and Billy Lindsay here at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. It'll be Kevin Rogers and Jameson Olive with you next in After 40 on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
Hey, all. This is Alonzo Mourning, and I want to talk to you man to man. When it comes to your health, we don't have to be just strong or be tough. We have to be smart, too. We need to take the time and get a health screening, and it can save your life. It saved mine.
Join Alonzo Mourning at the Miami Heat Men's Health Summit this June 14th. Learn more at baptisthealth.net/Zotime.
Tabañero Hot Sauce is bringing the heat to the rink this game day, folks. As the official hot sauce of the Florida Panthers, enjoy Tabañero today at any concession stand at the Amerant Bank Arena. We've got it in every flavor: original, sweet and spicy, curry habanero, and extra hot. Their premium sauce blends are crafted right here in South Florida from all-natural, locally sourced ingredients. And the party doesn't have to stop after the stadium. Take Tabañero home with you by visiting your local Florida retail stores. Savor the flavor of Tabañero. Funky Buddha is back as the official craft brewery of your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Funky Buddha brings the taproom fun to Amerant Bank Arena, where you can grab an ice-cold gloves-off IPA, brewed exclusively for the Florida Panthers and their fans. Party with them all year long at their brewery in Oakland Park, where you can catch all the Panthers action with their signature selection of innovative brews. Or stop by your closest retailer and bring Funky Buddha home with you. No matter where you're watching, they'll be right there with you. Cheers and go Cats! Funky Buddha Brewery, Oakland Park, Florida. Please drink responsibly.
Attention sports fans, when it comes to your health, don't just play defense, make the winning move with Solstice Dental Insurance. Whether you're looking for a PPO, HMO, or discount plan, Solstice has you covered. Our unique comprehensive dental and vision products ensure that you get the extensive coverage you need, all at an affordable price. With a national network and top-tier customer service, Solstice is your go-to teammate for championship smiles and clear vision. Join the winning team. Call Solstice today, 877-760-2247 or solsticebenefits.com, and score big on your dental insurance.
This is the Florida Panthers' second intermission report on the Florida Panthers Radio Network.
Presented by Baptist Health.
Second intermission underway from Toronto. Panthers strike for 3 in the second, a 3-0 lead over the Maple Leafs here in this Game 7. If the Panthers can hold it, then they will advance to the Eastern Conference Final on Tuesday against Carolina. Hopefully nothing catastrophic happens, and the Panthers will be in the Eastern Conference Final for a third straight season. Kevin Rogers and Jameson All of FloridaPanthers.com with you. Let's go to Toronto now with Jameson. We always like to say more goals, less Jameson, but let's get some Jameson in before we get the goals. And quickly, Jameson, on the first period, a lot of attacking from the Panthers, more so than we saw in Game 6, and they had opportunities, couldn't score. Bob was big in the first period, but at least it was good to see them get through that first unscathed before the second period onslaught.
Yeah, that first 10 minutes of the first period was a great possession period. That being said, they didn't have a ton of great looks. Joseph Woll didn't have to do too much to keep them off the board, but they did have the puck the entire first 10 minutes, which obviously helps to keep the puck out of your own net. But then the latter half of that period, the Maple Leafs really came online. They had some really quality looks. Nylander at the doorstep, 2 breakaway stops for Sergei Bobrovsky. So Bob had to come up huge there in the first period. And what do the Panthers do to reward him? They basically keep nothing going his direction in the second period. Just a dominant middle frame from the Cats, 16-3 advantage in scoring chances for Florida in the second period. Of course, 3 goals, the biggest thing, but just such an impressive response there from the Panthers. Easily the Maple Leafs could have gone into that intermission saying, guys, we finished that first period great, we're going to come out feeling great, this is our turning point, and the Panthers just completely took that out of the equation right away in the second period.
Panthers get shut out by Joseph Woll in Game 6, but they were able to get 3 goals in a 6.5 minute span, less than 6.5 minutes, and it started a little more than 3 minutes into the second period with Seth Jones as he would break the scoreless game and give the Panthers a 1-0 lead.
Marner here on the near boards, dumped over, got a pass out to Carlo from the seat of his pants, long shot blocked out front. Over on the far side, Barkov will muscle it into the neutral zone. Rodriguez to Seth Jones, right circle, Jones walks in, shot, he scores! Seth Jones gets the Panthers on the board here in Game 7. 16:45 to go in the second. It's 1-0 Panthers. Seth Jones on a heavy wrist shot out of the right circle.
3:15 into the second period. Seth Jones, his third. Evan Rodriguez and Alexander Barkov assisting, giving the Panthers a 1-0 lead. And just so interesting, Jameson, and how loaded this Panthers team is, but the 2 pickups of Seth Jones and Brad Marchand, I mean, can you say, or what can you say, where this team would be without these 2 at this point? I mean, it's hard to say they'd be in the exact same position.
Yeah, it's weird. I loved the Panthers before those moves, but now I can't imagine those guys not being here. They're such big parts of this team. And they're both playing down roles from what they're used to. Seth Jones was a top-pairing guy in Chicago. Now he's on that second pair. Brad Marchand was a top-line guy with the Bruins. Now he's on the third line here with the Panthers. And they're flourishing in those roles. These guys just want to win, and you're seeing that with how they're playing. But Seth Jones in particular, man, he's playing almost 25 minutes a night. He's playing on the penalty kill, on the power play. He's doing everything. And the best part is he's here for 5 more years after this year. That was a long-term trade for Bill Zito. So just kudos to him. It's so hard to find guys that can do that can play on the right side and can kind of be a staple of your top 4 defense for as long as he's going to be here in South Florida. So short-term great, long-term even greater.
1-0 lead there after the Jones goal in the second. Then a little more than 4 minutes later, it was Anton Lundell's turn to give the Panthers a 2-0 lead.
Marchand left side shot, save made by Woll. Loose out in front, and on the inboards, Lundell kept it alive. Marchand, right point, Mikkola. Nico Mikkola, backhand to forehand, down along the far boards. Marchand shot, tipped in front, rebound, they score! And it's Anton Lundell! And the Panthers take a 2-0 lead with 12:42 to go here in the second. Anton Lundell picking up the loose change.
4th goal for Anton Lundell in the postseason. Etulo Starina and Brad Marchand assisting, 8th assist for each of them. 7:18 into the second, giving the Panthers a 2-0 advantage. And a little more than 2 minutes later, it was Jonah Gadjevich. Call him Mr. Game 7. 3-0 lead for the Panthers.
Tavares from behind his own net bolts up the near side. Back into the neutral zone, intercepted. Back in go the Panthers. Jones, Greer left circle shot, save Woll. Greer the rebound in front of chance, and they score! Jonah Gadjevich makes it 3-0 Panthers. What effort in front of the net, and Jonah Gadjevich there to jam it in. The Panthers lead by a trio with 10:21 to go here in the second.
9:39 into the second period. Second goal of the postseason for Jonah Gadjevich. A.J. Greer and Seth Jones assisting, giving the Panthers a 3-0 lead. I'm sure on Jameson All's bingo card tonight, he had Jonah Gadjevich scoring a Game 7 goal, right?
I always have Gadjo on my bingo card. What a great story he is. That fourth line as a whole is a great story, but Gadjovich is a guy that was on the sidelines for that cup run last year. He was a healthy scratch, still got a ring, still got to be a part of it, but didn't get to be on the ice like so many guys want to be. So for him to be in a game like this, get a goal like that, Game 7 in Toronto, just so big for him. And going back to Seth Jones, got to give him a lot of credit there. He touches that puck too soon. That's offside. He knows the rules. He waits there patiently, waits for the play to get back on side, which kind of sets it all in motion. So a little play there, but one that was so important for Seth Jones.
So far, Sergei Bobrovsky, 12 saves on 12 Toronto shots. Joseph Woll, 22 saves on 25 shots inside the Maple Leafs net. Jameson All, FloridaPanthers.com. Jameson, just saying this. Hopefully, we will talk to you again on Tuesday. Nothing is set in stone, but hopefully we'll talk to you Tuesday in Raleigh.
And I got to say, Atulo Sarina right now leads the NHL in road playoff points. I just got to get that through. Get that out in the airwaves. That's so big. Talk to you soon, Karaj.
Thank you. Jameson All, FloridaPanthers.com. Very good stat right there. And Atulo Sarina, who was traded from the Carolina Hurricanes in the Vincent Trocheck deal, could be going back there on Tuesday. But we'll see. We're not going to say anything that's all set yet. But the Panthers, though, through 2 periods of Game 7 in Toronto, lead the Maple Leafs 3-0. We have the JetBlue out-of-town scoreboard, also world-famous former Twitter segment, all straight ahead right here on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
The moves the Panthers make on the ice count. American Van Lines knows the moves you make count the most. As the official mover of the Florida Panthers, we always want to win by providing you with the most hassle-free move of your life. I'm Anthony DeSorbo, owner of American Van Lines. When it's time to move, give us a call because we'll give you a solid upfront quote that you can count on. When the time is short and you need to make a move, depend on our pros at American Van Lines. Go Panthers and move with the champs, American Van Lines.
Let's talk goals. You don't have to be a professional athlete to achieve them. You just need the right partner for the assist. And when it comes to your facility's landscape, there's no one better than Brightview, the official lawn care partner of the Florida Panthers. Go to brightview.com to see how our commercial landscape services can help you achieve your goals. Or call 844-235-7778 to set up your free consultation. That's 844-235-7778 or brightview.com.
Cheers to champions! Manos Wine has teamed up with the Florida Panthers to celebrate the 2024 Stanley Cup champions. Introducing our exclusive collection of deep-edged, hand-painted wines and sparkling metallic red bubbly, each featuring unique championship designs. Whether you're toasting to victory at home or celebrating with friends, these limited edition bottles are a must-have for every Panthers fan. Shop now at manoswine.com or find us at your local liquor store. Raise your glass to the champions, because every victory deserves a great wine. Tabañero Hot Sauce is bringing the heat to the rink this game day, folks. As the official hot sauce of the Florida Panthers, enjoy Tabañero today at any concession stand at the Emerald Bank Arena. We've got it in every flavor: original, sweet and spicy, curry habanero, and extra hot. Their premium sauce blends are crafted right here in South Florida from all natural, locally sourced ingredients. And the party doesn't have to stop after the stadium. Take Tabañero home with you by visiting your local Florida retail stores. Savor the flavor of Tabañero.
Second intermission continues in Toronto. Panthers lead the Maple Leafs 3-0. Kevin Rogers with you. Game 7 of the second round series. The Panthers can hold this. They will face Carolina coming up in the Eastern Conference Final in Game 1 on Tuesday. Still got to get through 20 more minutes. Let's take a quick look at the JetBlue out-of-town scoreboard. JetBlue, you above all. Wednesday night, we will have Dallas and Edmonton. That is set in stone after the Stars beat the Jets in overtime last night. Second straight season, Dallas and Edmonton will meet for the Western Conference title. Coming up next, we have the world-famous former Twitter segment. Get your tweets and X's in for Doug. He'll read them before the third period. Panthers 3, Maple Leafs nothing after 2 in Game 7 in Toronto right here on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
We often welcome people as a standard greeting. It's become as common as greeting another with a hello. At Baptist Health, being welcome has far deeper meaning. So welcome to the warmer side of care, where we advance innovation and treatments through research while educating the next generation of experts all close to home. Here, the sun shines through each one of us as we stand by each one of you. Welcome to the warmer side of care. Welcome to Baptist Health.
Tabañero Hot Sauce is bringing the heat to the rink this game day, folks. As the official hot sauce of the Florida Panthers, enjoy Tabañero today at any concession stand at the Emerald Bank Arena. We've got it in every flavor: original, sweet and spicy, curry habanero, and extra hot. Their premium sauce blends are crafted right here in South Florida from all-natural, locally sourced ingredients. And the party doesn't have to stop after the stadium. Take Tabañero home with you by visiting your local Florida retail stores. Savor the flavor of Tabañero. Catch your Florida Panthers and Amarant Bank Arena world-class shows and events in the most premium setting in South Florida, our private and exclusive suites, as well as our all-inclusive clubs including Amarant Vault and Corona Beach House, offering multiple ways to forge unforgettable connections with friends, family, employees, and top clients. You'll never want to experience a game or concert any other way. For more information, visit FloridaPanthers.com or call 954-835-PUCK today. Funky Buddha is back as the official craft brewery of your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Funky Buddha brings the taproom fun to Amarant Bank Arena, where you can grab an ice-cold gloves-off IPA, brewed exclusively for the Florida Panthers and their fans. Party with them all year long at their brewery in Oakland Park, where you can catch all the Panthers action with their signature selection of innovative brews. Or stop by your closest retailer and bring Funky Buddha home with you. No matter where you're watching, they'll be right there with you. Cheers and go Cats! Funky Buddha Brewery, Oakland Park, Florida. Please drink responsibly.
3-0 Panthers over the Leafs. World famous former Twitter segment as we get ready to start the third period. Jason listening on Sirius XM in New York. Keith tuned in. Roy in Scotland. Decker, Eastvale, California. Rob in Massachusetts tuned in. Jeff is listening. Michael, one of our listeners in law enforcement, tuned in. Special to all the police, fire, medical personnel that we have tuned in. All the military we have tuned in. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for making Panthers hockey a party tonight. Another Michael tuned in. Josh in Pembroke Pines, Carl, Northwest Indiana, Sean the Hawk, Dr. Greg and company have the watch party and the listening party going on in Peru. Kurt, South Carolina, Twitter captain. Sonny in Nebraska. We've got Mike tuned in New England. Says he's rooting on Brad Marchand. We've got Andrew tuned in. Scott the Cop / Marine tuned in on the Panthers app. Nisi in Tennessee is listening. Ryan, Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Noah, Providence, Rhode Island with his wife Malka. Also Judy in Australia is listening. We have JC tuned in, Bill, Gil, also Kalen tuned in, and we have Duty tuned in Georgia. Stevie Joe is tuned in tonight from Ormond Beach on Sirius XM. Third period next, 3-0 Panthers on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
Tabañero Hot Sauce is bringing the heat to the rink this game day, folks. As the official hot sauce of the Florida Panthers, enjoy Tabañero today at any concession stand at the Emerald Bank Arena. We've got it in every flavor: original, sweet and spicy, curry habanero, and extra hot. Their premium sauce blends are crafted right here in South Florida from all-natural, locally sourced ingredients. And the party doesn't have to stop after the stadium. Take Tabañero home with you by visiting your local Florida retail stores. Savor the flavor of Tabañero.
Panthers fans, score big on game day at Stoner's Pizza. Every game day, buy a large cheese or pepperoni pizza and get one of the same variety free. With fresh ingredients and daily handmade dough, Stoner's Pizza is the perfect pairing for puck drop. Order in-store or online at stonerspizzajoint.com and use code GOCATS. Stoner's Pizza, the official pizza of the Florida Panthers. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Underway here in Toronto, Game 7 into the third period. 3-0 Panthers, and the Panthers charge in offensively. Here's Barkov heading down to our right along the near boards. Barkov to the corner. Barkov down behind the net. Evan Rodriguez is there. Winds it out to the far point. Nico Mikkola holds it in, plays it down behind the net. This one bounces off to the near corner. Barkov able to sneak through a check, but Lawton there to clear the puck out. Down to our left it goes, and this is going to go the length for an icing. 31 seconds into the third, 3-0 the Panthers over the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 7. Early stages of the third period. Doug Plagans, Billy Lindsay here with you. Kevin Rogers back in our network studios. Paul Gadd is our on-set engineer. Trevor Harris at studio control, and the Panthers just trying to duplicate what they did in the second.
Shot attempts in this game 75-32 in favor of the Panthers. Offensive zone possession time 5:28 for the Panthers, 2 minutes and 14 seconds for the Leafs.
Here on the near side, the eye test favors the Panthers, but you look at the numbers and the underlying numbers, it all favors the Panthers here in this one tonight. The puck played around Tkachuk, then Bennett out to the point, bounces Verhaeghe, right point, Ekblad across, Forsling hammers it down behind the Leafs net. This rims around near side, got by Verhaeghe out to the line. Ekblad looked to play it back down low. That goes out of play. 57 seconds into the third period, 3-0 Panthers. 13
players back on the bench, and Lundell steps back onto the ice. Great news for the Panthers.
Yep. Missed a few shifts there late in the second period.
Yeah, had to go back. The tunnel seems good to go.
Draw a near circle down to our right inside the Toronto zone. And Lundell wins the draw. Lou Ostarina near point. Ekblad down behind the net. Brad Marchand here to the near side. Takes a bounce. Tavares is there. He'll try and clear. Ekblad held it in. Long shot and a right pad save made by Wall. Behind the net, Ekman Larson. Near side, Benoit. Hands it on. Here's Tavares up the near boards. He'll guide one in. Down to our left. Behind the net, Bobrovsky. Off the glass. Out to the far point. Ekman Larson the hold. It's rattled toward the net. Bobrovsky sees it coming. He'll cover with traffic out in front. 18:39 to go here in the third period. 3-0 the Panthers over the Toronto Maple Leafs.
This is where you just worry. You got about 2-3 shifts in a piece before the first TV timeout. And said it when we had the big lead. That's your concentration.
Yep.
Just worry about the 2-3 shifts. You get to the TV timeout, and then do the same thing, duplicated. Just understanding you're going to have about a minute and a half each on the ice that you have to really dig in and concentrate for.
Jones to Barkov up the near side. Barkov will hand one down to our right. Back behind the net, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Far side of the ice, it was Tavares who couldn't handle one. Now Ekman-Larsson with control. Cross ice, Morgan Riley to center. And the defenseman will play it in down to our left. Around it goes, far corner, Nico Mikkola. Back here for Jones. Jones leaving it for Mikkola. Backhand up the near boards. Nylander cuts it off. Gave it down low for Domi. Domi in the left wing corner for Toronto. Backhand up top. Benoit looks across. He's got Carlo. A long shot that's blocked in front by Reinhart. Handed on for Seth Jones. Far side for Rodriguez. Rattled through the neutral zone. Bobby McMahon. Quick transition pass in the clear. Domi. Left side of the circle. A shot. He scores. And Max Domi gets the Leafs on the board. Just 2 minutes and 7 seconds into the third period. The Panthers' lead is reduced to 3-1. And, Billy, we talked about it earlier, but you figured if Toronto was going to have any shot here, they had to get the next goal in this game.
Caught the Panthers in a bad line change. They're quick up. And they just throw it up at the waiting blue line to Domi. And Domi's open down the wing. He's able to go 5-hole against Bobrovsky. And all the good saves Bobrovsky's made. Last couple of big goals they scored, Matthews and Domi have been beaten between the legs. And it looked like the Panthers, everyone was in full flight line change, and they could not recover in time. Allowed Domi that time and space down the wing, and it's 3-1. And now all of a sudden, this Maple Leaf crowd has come alive.
Face off on the way at center. And you mentioned it there, Billy. It was a crowd here at Scotiabank Arena that really was just looking for anything to cheer for the last 40 minutes. And finally found something. Here on the near side, it's McCabe. He'll bounce it into the neutral zone. It goes down to our left. Nate Schmidt after it, but an icing call against Toronto. So 17:37 left in the third. 3-1 is the Panthers' lead.
And if you're that safety valve defenseman on what would be the left side of the ice or the right side of the ice for the Panthers, you have to stay there until the puck gets deep. You have to have that understanding. And until that puck gets into the offensive zone, you can't change. And we've seen it twice in this hockey game where they have both left the ice, and this time it hurts the Panthers. You got to be so spot on with those line changes. Two defensemen go to the bench, and that's quick up. And Domi gets the goal, and the line changes. Craig Berube switching everything up front. He's throwing the bingo machine together and got all kinds of different line combinations.
And now the ice crew coming on to tend to a patch of ice that needs cleaning.
That's where, if you're this Panther group, you got to have the ability to settle down. Things are going to happen.
(3-1) Panthers. 17:37 left in the third. Off the draw, Marchand to the net, tipped, and it's wide. Off the end boards, Tanev, and he didn't reel it in. Lundell on him. Now Holmberg comes up with the puck. Holmberg for Nyes. Out to center, gloved by Pacioretty. It was knocked away by Forsling. Puck stays in the Panthers zone. Ekblad tied up. Lundell scoops it up, gives to Marchand. Marchand up the right wing for the Panthers. Backhand toward the net, into the far corner. Luostarinen there collides with Ekman-Larsson. Over on the far boards, long shot. Marchand tipped, they score! And it's into Luostarinen, who got a piece of it. Marchand put it to the net. Luostarinen tips it in. And once again, the Panthers lead by 3. 4-1 your score. What a response!
That to Luostarinen, that big body down deep in the corner. And he's able to just knock Ekman-Larsson off his skates, and Lundell gets it back to the point when he has 2 players on him. The willingness to take a hit by Lundell there to make a play, and it's just thrown on net, and that to Luostarinen able to tip it in behind Wall. As Lundell got it back, and Marchand's going to have 2 points in this game. Marchand again to the net, and how effective. That's 6 points for that line combined. The trade for Brad Marchand, and he's been here against the LEAFS as a member of the Boston Bruins, doing this to the LEAFS for a long time. And again, in the Panther jersey, that line has just totally turned the dynamic of this Panther group around. And they came in as the third line. You have to argue that they're the first line based on their play throughout the course of this series.
In the matter of less than a week, the Panthers acquired Seth Jones and Brad Marchand.
And how big have those 2 players been in this game?
Massive here in Game 7. Tanev behind the net. Here on the near side, Lawton. He turned it over. Turnaround from Rodriguez, deflecting wide. Tanev was in the way there. From behind the Leafs net, here's McCabe.
You know who leads the points in NHL on the road? At Luostarinen.
Here in the playoffs, he's had himself one heck of a productive
I believe almost
postseason.
all of his points have come on the road, if I'm not mistaken. The majority of them, I meant.
No, he's got a 2-point game tonight. He's got a goal to go with his assist from earlier in the evening. So Eetu Luostarinen up to 11 points in the playoffs in 12 games.
Had that huge closeout game against Tampa.
Puck play down to our left inside the Panthers zone, and they'll bring it out quickly. Up to center and in over the Leaf line. Down to our right, Benoit recovering for Toronto. Plays it off the end boards, Ekman-Larsson. Far side for Marner. Marner hands it back for Ekman-Larsson. He gives to Marner in the far corner. Back for Ekman-Larsson. Here on the near side, Bennett. A hit on Ekman-Larsson. Pass up the near side. It's redirected out of play as Matthews trying to work it in. 15:52 to go here in the third period. 4-1. The Panthers over the Maple Leafs here. And you mentioned Eetu Luostarinen, what he's been able to do. He's +2 tonight. And Billy, +10 on the playoffs to go along with the 11 points in 12 games.
That line, every time, if you looked at their numbers and outscoring opponents, they've only been on the ice in these playoffs for 2 goals against. And the goals for, they are bludgeoning, and they're going against the top lines.
Yep, they're playing a shutdown role too, and it is extremely effective. Down to our left on the end boards, Domi once again for Toronto, gives to Morgan Riley a shot. It's cut off out front, and then a backhand try from Nylander deflects wide.
And there's a reason now that we didn't like Marchand in a Boston uniform or opponents. He's the ultimate competitor, ultimate warrior.
Far side of the ice, Marchand to Nosek. Nosek left side, a shot, and it's hauled in by Wall. And Wall hangs on. 15-17 to go in the third. 4-1, the Panthers lead Game 7.
And Marchand this morning, just in the dressing room, was just all fired up. And you were doing your interview with the coach, but all of a sudden, Brad Marchand just came sprinting down the tunnel, yelling, "Old man coming through! Old man coming through! Get out of the way!" He was getting there, and he had a big smile on his face, and
didn't want to miss the bus.
You could tell he was just salivating to play in this game. Yeah, didn't want to miss the bus. He was getting there. He had a lot of media attention this morning.
Now the Leafs back in their own zone. Here's Benoit.
And he talks about players making big plays, not having the fear factor into this game, but doing it, and that line has definitely done it for the Panthers again.
Nate Schmidt down to our left inside the Panthers zone. It's sent out to center, and then worked down to our right by Greer around the inboards. Tanev pass it for Toronto. Here's McCabe on the near side. Flipped out to center ice. That'll send Nico Mikkola back into the Panthers zone. No icing here. Coming up on 14 and a half minutes to go in the third. Here on the near side of the ice, Reinhart to Barkov, and it's punched out through the neutral zone down to our left. Tanev after this one. Back behind the net, Chris Tanev. Pressure from Rodriguez. Tanev out from behind the net, and then he retreats back to the trapezoid. Around the back of the net, and up the far side of the ice goes Tanev. Cross ice to Tavares. Lobs it toward the Panthers net, and that one's scooped up routinely by Sergei Bobrovsky. And 14-13 will remain in the third period of Game 7 with the Panthers up 4-1.
What an answer by the Panthers, too. Quickly coming back with that goal by Louis Serenen. That's how you squash hopes and dreams right there. It didn't last very long. This enthusiastic crowd, they got a couple of minutes to stand up and cheer and get excited, and all of a sudden, boom, that has been taken away.
So a face-off on the way, near circle down to our left. Inside the Panthers zone, the Panthers a 4-1 lead. And off the face-off, it's walked ahead by Barkov. He'll float it down to our right. Ekman Larsson is there. On the zone, Bobby McMahon here on the near side for Toronto. Eases one down to our left. Gus Forsling. Pass cross ice for Verhaeghe. Into the neutral zone, Carter Verhaeghe to Sam Bennett. Bennett flips one into the offensive end, stays with it on the forecheck around near side out to the point. Ekblad, he'll send it down low, back behind the net. Bennett there, Bennett in front, Tkachuk in close, and that one was knocked away by a defender in front. Tkachuk couldn't get it through cleanly. The Leafs clear, and down to our left it's Forsling. Gives to Bennett, right side Verhaeghe. Dumps it in. That goes back behind the Toronto net. Brandon Carlo. Far side Austin Matthews. Back into the line. Held in Kulikov. A drive. And it's right in on goal. Wall makes the save. 13:24 left in the third period. 4-1. It's the Panthers in front of the Toronto Maple Leafs here in Game 7. Panthers 13-24 away from a third trip in a row to the Eastern Conference Final. See if they can lock this one down. Third period cruises along next on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
We often welcome people as a standard greeting. It's become as common as greeting another with a hello. At Baptist Health, being welcome has far deeper meaning. So welcome to the warmer side of care, where we advance innovation and treatments through research while educating the next generation of experts, all close to home. Here, the sun shines through each one of us as we stand by each one of you. Welcome to the warmer side of care. Welcome to Baptist Health.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Steel deals are happening now. From instant savings on select tools to free battery offers on some of our most popular battery tool sets. You can enjoy great deals and do it all with Steel. Shop online or in store at your local Steel dealer. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
13:24 to go in the third. 4-1. The Panthers leading Game 7 here in Toronto. Some of the other tweets we didn't get to. Bruce tuned in. Jay and Tammy and Ocala. Miss Mooney, Mr. Cirilla's 4th and 5th graders. Coral Sunset in West Boca tuned in. Miami Fan for Life in Phoenix, Arizona. We've got Bill tuned in. 1,462 miles away, he says. Andrew. And is Andrew the boys tuned in at work in Las Vegas tonight?
Nice.
Loriana tuned in this evening. And that takes us to the end of the world-famous former Twitter segment. Thanks, everybody, for the tweets. Too many to get to during the second intermission.
Much, yeah.
Face-off, far circle down to our right. To the right of Joe Wall in the Leafs end. Panthers control the draw. Here's a shot from Marchand, deflecting into the near corner. Ekblad down behind the net, around to the far corner. Ekman Larsson up the boards, Marner. Mitch Marner through neutral ice. Backhands far side down to our left. Craig Berube has Matthews, Marner, and Tavares on as a forward line. Here's Riley with a shot. That deflects to the far corner. Forsling a jam at it. Got it out. And back to the Leaf line. It's Morgan Riley. Looks across. Riley for Ekman Larsson. Right wing side, Tavares. tied up and dumped over by Barkov. The Leafs will restart back at their own blue line. Morgan Riley for Jake McCabe up the near side of the ice. Flip down to our left off the end boards. Gus Forsling there. Nylander ties him up. Then Tavares in after it. Loose puck to the near corner. Barkov up the boards. Whacked at by Reinhart. 2-on-2 scrum here on the near side. Tavares tried to center. Barkov cuts it off. He'll bank it off the near boards. Held in by McCabe. But then Ekblad will bounce it to neutral ice. It's off Nylander. Rolls back in over the Panthers blue line. And Ekblad retreats behind his own net. 12:21 to go here in the third period. 4-1. Panthers over the Leafs. Game 7 continues on as Rodriguez hands it into the neutral zone. Barkov pocket picked by Yarncroke. Give it to Pacioretty. Max Pacioretty at the left wing. Dumped down by Rodriguez. Fans wanted a call. Not going to get it. And the Panthers get it cleared down to our right. Brandon Carlo after it.
Love the officiating. It's 5-on-5. Outside of that, too many men on the ice call. This game is played exclusively at even strength.
Here on the near side, Tkachuk. And it pulled away. Yarncroke hands it back. Benoit across. Carlo up the far wing. Stephen Lawrence into the far corner. Backhand out front. Cut off. Recovers. Tried to center. It's off the side of the Panthers net. Bennett up the near boards. Morgan Riley kept it in. Down to the end boards. Then it's Stephen Lawrence here on the near side. Banked out to the line. Morgan Riley across Brandon Carlo. Long shot tipped and it's wide. Played back out front. And that one winds up here on the near boards. Tkachuk will clear. It was Lawton who tried to play one back out front of the net.
And you have to go back to that first period and the saves that Bobrovsky made.
Yep.
Hasn't had a lot of shots.
Couple of breakaways early.
Breakaways in tight on Pacioretty.
Nylander up the right side. Walks in for Toronto to the right circle. Nylander to the far circle. Drops it off for McMahon. McMahon near point. Morgan Riley. A shot. And Bobrovsky a piece of it. Loose out front. Panthers will bring it out. It's Gadjevich to Greer. Speed on the right wing. Tries to work away from Riley. Greer to the front of the net. Couldn't get a shot away. Riley knocked the puck off his stick. Domi out of the zone. McMahon plays one down to our left. And McMahon just got a shot up high from Seth Jones.
He's trying to sell that big time.
And the puck dumped down to our right. McMahon. Yeah, he was. And now here's a shot from the far point. Wall gobbles that up as Anton Lundell let it rip. And
he took it up in the chest. He was already down on his knees. McMahon trying to sell that to the referees, and that's going to be a no-go. It was just a cross-check into the shoulder area, and he reacted like he got it right in the face.
Face off far circle down to our right inside the Toronto zone.
And the refs have let the players decide it.
Yep. Draw far circle off the draw. Turnaround shot. They scored. It's Reinhart from the high slot. He lets it rip. He wasted no time. And the Panthers have a 5-1 lead with 10:36 to play here in the third. Sam Reinhart adds to the lead.
And the Panthers, this is the one game they've had the advantage in the faceoff circle. And Barkov's able to lean in, and Reinhart, a right-handed shot, just walking off that left wall, is able to get it quickly. And we saw play all the time from Alexander Ovechkin, that you just take a step back off your defensive coverage and take a wing and get into the middle of the ice. Well, that's where Reinhart there, that his right-handed shot lined up on the left side, and he just takes it all in one motion. As soon as he gets it, gets that step on the defenseman, shoots it through traffic.
Oh, and I hope this isn't going to start to become a theme.
What's that?
We have a jersey and
here we go
some
again.
Debris being thrown onto the ice. Here's another Leafs jersey. This is developing into a bad scene now, and it only takes a few. Oh, boy.
Well, this is nothing happened. You've gotten beaten by better teams tonight.
Well, they dropped the puck, and there's a piece of debris on the ice, and I'm not sure anybody sees it. Our referee's on top of it.
Jean Hubert will get it when he gets time. He knows it's out there.
And now the Leafs fans are, the Boo Birds are out in full force now. Here's Scott Lawton to dump it in. 5-1 Panthers. If you're the Panthers, it's music to your ears. As the road team, when you hear the home fans boo, you know you've done something right. Morgan Riley up the near side of the ice. It's picked up and dumped in by Reinhart.
It's nice in the Game 7 to have a little room to breathe.
Yeah, a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you don't have to play it out here.
Yeah, you can't let up, but...
Here's Nice up the near side.
Here we go. We got
Drop back Benoit shot, and the save made. We've got debris onto the ice during game action, which is a safety hazard. Puck played into the neutral zone, and hopefully those folks are
getting escorted,
being taken
out of the arena,
out of this building and someplace else. Here's Tkachuk. Up the near side of the ice, Benoit cuts it off. Offside call, 9:39 left in the third. 5-1, the Panthers in front. A lot of folks who spent a lot of money on tickets are cutting their night short here this evening. 9:39 left in the third, 5-1. It's the Panthers in front of the Leafs here in Game 7 in Toronto. Back with more straight ahead on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
Cheers to champions. Manos Wine has teamed up with the Florida Panthers to celebrate the 2024 Stanley Cup champions. Introducing our exclusive collection of deep-edged, hand-painted wines and sparkling metallic red bubbly, each featuring unique championship designs. Whether you're toasting to victory at home or celebrating with friends, these limited edition bottles are a must-have for every Panthers fan. Shop now at manoswine.com or find us at your local liquor store. Raise your glass to the champions, because every victory deserves a great wine.
We have some breaking news that you Panthers fans are going to want to hear. It's official. SeatGeek is now the official ticketing partner of the Florida Panthers. That's right, the deal is finalized and SeatGeek is the newest member of the Panthers family. If you haven't heard the name yet, get used to it, because you'll be hearing it a lot more this season. SeatGeek, the new official ticketing partner of the Florida Panthers. Your ticket to great Panthers seats.
We often welcome people as a standard greeting. It's become as common as greeting another with a hello. At Baptist Health, being welcome has far deeper meaning. So welcome to the warmer side of care, where we advance innovation and treatments through research while educating the next generation of experts, all close to home. Here, the sun shines through each one of us as we stand by each one of you. Welcome to the warmer side of care. Welcome to Baptist Health.
9:39 to play in the third, 5-1. It's the Panthers over the Toronto Maple Leafs. 9 of the 18 Panthers skaters dressed tonight have points in tonight's game. Gus Forsling is a game-high +3. We've had 5 different Panthers find the back of the net. 5-1 Panthers, 9:39 to go in the third here in Game 7. Still have to keep your foot on the gas, but the Panthers in as comfortable a place as you can be in a Game 7 on the road.
That's been the story of the playoffs, the balanced scoring.
Yep.
You get Jones with the goal. You got 11 goals from your defenseman. You got a goal from your fourth line in this game.
Now Nylander plays one down to our left. Whipped out front by McMahon to the near circle. McCabe, and a glove save made by Sergei Bobrovsky. 9:29 to go in the third. 5-1. It's the Panthers in front of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist.
The world's greatest coverage.
Taves 3-on-1. Taves, Lee, scores!
Sirius XM NHL Network Radio.
KIS HD2 Boca Raton.
As we hit the 10 p.m. Eastern hour. 5-1 Panthers over the Toronto Maple Leafs. 9:29 left in the third period. The face-off near circle down to our left. Sam Reinhart, who has the most recent goal in this one, pulls it back, and Seth Jones banked it off Jake McCabe into neutral ice.
Sergei Bobrovsky, last 3 games, and including this one being a fourth, he has stopped 84 of the last 88 shots that has come his way.
Sergei Bobrovsky trying to get to 3-0 all-time in Game 7s. 2-0, both of those with the Panthers, of course. Puck played out through the neutral zone. Paul Maurice
looking to go 6-0 behind.
Trying to get to 6-0
with his good friend Peter DeBoer.
Yep,
going 9-0. They must know something.
2 of the best all time in that situation. Puck chipped up to the Panthers line. Matthews couldn't get it deep. Ekblad to Bennett. Up the right side, Sam Bennett. Backhand wide out to the far point. Forsling, he'll whip it to the net. That's wide. Into the near corner and then along the near boards. Tkachuk plows into Marner. The Leafs will break out. It's Matthews through neutral ice. Heads in, lost the puck. Ekblad to Tkachuk. He'll drop it back for Forsling. And Gus Forsling will stroll back behind the Panthers net with 8:29 to go here in the third period. 5-1. It's the Panthers over Toronto.
Last 2 games in here now, a combined score of 11-2 in favor of the Panthers.
Puck dumped in down to our right around the end boards near circle. Matthews is there for Toronto. Outlet to Pacioretty. Dumped down to our left off the end boards. Holmberg after it, and he had it knocked away. Pacioretty was there to grab it. Played out to the line. McCabe, right point Tanev. Tanev pressured there by A.J. Greer. Tavares reaches out and grabs the puck. Dangles to the high slot, but doesn't get a shot away. McCabe will fling it down behind the net. Max Pacioretty in the trapezoid. Shoved there by Nosek. Now Tavares on it. Nate Schmidt dumps him down hard. Back behind the net. Nosek there to grab the puck. Up the wing. It's A.J. Greer. And he'll gain center, plays it in, down to our right it goes, and the Leafs back into their own end to grab control of the puck. Jake McCabe, he'll play it off to the far boards. Ekman-Larsson, outlets, Yarncroke, back for Ekman-Larsson, a foot race down to right. Marchand just beat Ekman-Larsson to that puck. Back behind the net to the near corner, it's Brad Marchand here on the near side of the ice. He'll drop one off, it's played around by Lundell off to the far corner, then Yarncroke, leaving it for McCabe as the Leafs regather possession of the puck. McCabe couldn't clear. Jones in front in the pass. Just missed Luostarinen. 3-on-2 for Toronto coming back. Lawton to Lawrence. Back for Lawton left side. Lawrence near circle. A shot right pad. Save made by Bobrovsky. And here on the near side of the ice, Seth Jones. He'll launch one out to center. Down to our right into the Leafs end. Carlo there.
Jones got caught up in the play. You had Lundell playing defense, and you had Luostarinen get all the way back. It was a 3-on-2, but Luostarinen got back to make it a 3-on-3, and there's two forwards defending there.
Now it's Rodriguez here on the near side, tied up by Nylander, out to the high slot. Domi a shot, it's wide. That takes a lively roll off to the far boards. It was slapped down to the zone by Barkov. Carlo across his own blue line for Benoit. Back across for Carlo. Hands to Benoit. And Benoit back in his own end. 6:24 to go in the third. 5-1. Panthers over Toronto. Simone Benoit.
You wonder if Craig Berube has any thoughts of pulling his goaltender.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. We'll wait and see.
It's Game 7.
Into the far corner, Matthew Nice. Out to the line. Tanev for Morgan Riley. A shot, and that sails wide. Kulikov behind the net. Couldn't clear it here on the near side. Marner kept it in. Long shot wide. That rims around the end boards. Far point. Morgan Riley tries to hammer it down low. Bounces to Nyes. And back behind the net. Matthews dumped over hard by Kulikov. Loose puck back behind the goal. Takes a roll to the side of the net. The Panthers settle down possession. Verhaeghe gently clears so it doesn't go all the way down for an icing. Chris Tanev back inside the Leaf line. 5:39 to go in the third. 5-1. The Panthers up front. And up front comfortably in this one. Marchand to clear. Ekman-Larsson backs up inside his own line. Gives to McCabe. McCabe a pass straight on. Domi receives the pass. Gives to Nylander. Near wing. Nylander to the corner out in front. The puck goes to Ekman-Larsson out at the right point. Gives to the line McCabe. A drive. It's blocked. Puck to the far corner then. Domi looking for McMahon. Backhand trying a left pad save made by Sergei Bobrovsky. Seth Jones looks to clear, bounces off a Leaf, then off the short glass near side, heads out of the zone, and then down to our right. It's Jake McCabe to retrieve it for Toronto. Inside 5 minutes to play in the third, 5-1. It's the Panthers in front here in Game 7. Matthews to the front of the net, a shot from the near circle and a save by Bobrovsky. Matthews out to the far point. That one too hot for anybody to handle. It goes all the way down to our right into Leafs territory. Benoit across, McCabe there. Long outlet, and Nyes will work in. Couldn't pull the trigger on a shot. Gadjevich up the near side for Greer. A little too far there, and Morgan Riley keeps it in the neutral zone. Gadjevich plays it in. That goes on a play. 4.5 minutes to go in the third. 5-1. The Panthers over the Leafs here in Game 7 will step aside, and the Panthers will look to close it out. Coming up on the other side of the break. 5-1 Panthers here in Game 7, heading down the stretch on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
Hey Panthers fans, looking for an unforgettable group experience? Team up and score more with Florida Panthers group tickets. Whether it's for corporate outings, school trips, or a fun night out with friends, nothing beats the excitement of live hockey at Amerant Bank Arena. Get exclusive benefits like ticket savings, priority seating, and access to VIP experiences. Don't miss out on the action. Secure your group spot today. Visit FloridaPanthers.com or call 954-835-PUCK to learn more.
Hey, all. This is Alonzo Mourning, and I want to talk to you man to man. When it comes to your health, we don't have to be just strong or be tough. We have to be smart, too. We need to take the time and get a health screening, and it can save your life. It saved mine.
Join Alonzo Mourning at the Miami Heat Men's Health Summit this June 14th. Learn more at baptisthealth.net/Zotime.
Metro Group Miami, corporate partner of the Florida Panthers. The home of Metro Signs and Metro Wraps has been South Florida's business choice for quality signs and graphics for over 34 years. No sign is too big or too small for the experts at Metro. They bring brands to life. Call them today, 954-983-6662, 954-983-6662. Visit MetroGroupMiami.com to learn what they can do for you. Metro Group Miami, your everything team.
4.5 minutes to go, third period, 5-1. The Panthers all over the Toronto Maple Leafs here in this one. Doug Plagans, Billy Lindsay, Kevin Rogers with you. Paul Katz, our on-set engineer, and Trevor Harris back at studio control. Billy, the best the Leafs had in this one was the last 10 minutes of the first period, and you feel like when that didn't work for them, the Panthers made the necessary adjustments after the first period, came back, and it's been a no-doubter ever since.
Yeah, that second period, they really put a lot of questions to rest, those 3 quick goals. And when's the last time outside of that first period we've heard Nylander's name? That's my question. And Marner a little bit. Matthews had a couple outside shots on net. There goes Joseph Woll to the bench to answer the question I asked.
Joe Woll to the bench, the extra attacker on. It's Domi, the only Leaf who's scored in this one. Evan Rodriguez over on the far side of the ice, tied up by Domi. A shot from Riley. That's going to drift off to the near corner. Bobrovsky looked like he may have gotten the blocker on that. Leafs hold it in near side. Here's Matthews. Matthews for Tavares. The pass missed the mark down behind the net. Nico Mikkola is there. Ripped away by Nylander. Then Mikkola dumps him down. Around to the near corner, it's Tavares. Punched here by Seth Jones. Into the corner, then Barkov. Up the near side, Reinhart. And Sam Reinhart here on the near boards, tied up immediately by Mitch Marner. Marner will play one down to the far corner. Mikkola up the far side. Here's Rodriguez up the boards, banks it along. He's tied up and nearly tripped down by Riley. And back in the Leafs end, it's Marner with it. Passed on for Pacioretty. Handed back for McCabe. On the near side, it's out of Marner's reach. Down to our left, McMahon plays it off the end boards. Gus Forsling the takeaway, floats one high. Out to center, and Marner back for it. And Marner is hearing boos when he touches the puck. That's 3 straight touches, and the Leafs fans are not being kind to the man who's set to head to free agency this summer. Over on the far side of the ice, here's Marchand. He'll send it all the way down, and he scores on the empty net. Brad Marchand, 6-1 Panthers with 3:03 to go here in this third period of play. What a night for Brad Marchand. That's 3 points for him in the game, and that one will most definitely seal this one up.
You talk about someone that has just been a nightmare for the Leafs in the playoffs. Whatever jersey he's wearing, it is Brad Marchand, and another outrageous performance in a big-time game by number 63. And Bill, you got to give credit to Bill Zito going out and getting Seth Jones and Brad Marchand, arguably the 2 biggest factors in the win here tonight. You can make that argument, along with Lundell and Losterinen. But having those 2 players and having the experience of Brad Marchand, 13 Game 7s, the most of any active player in the NHL, putting on a show.
Benoit near circle shot and a save made by Sergei Bobrovsky. And, well, Brad Marchand just caused a lot of traffic here in downtown Toronto because he sent several thousand people out onto the streets at the exact same time, based on the looks of things.
Well, what the Panthers have done to the Leafs is there are going to be a gazillion questions that are going to have to be answered this offseason. This was the last attempt, I believe, with the Big Four.
Far side of the ice, A.J. Greer. Panthers looking for more. Here's Nosek, a shot and a save made by Wall, and he'll hang on to that. 2:33 left in the third. 6-1. The Panthers just pouring it on here against Toronto in Game 7. And coming off the way Game 6 went, you probably figured this was going to be a tight one way or the other. And the number of people who have been willing to part with expensive stadium beverages and Leafs jerseys, which are also usually carrying a hefty price tag, it's been somewhat staggering here. And there is residue from, I believe that would be a cola across the ice. And off a face-off here in the near circle. Puck picked up by Brad Marchand. At the line, he'll whip it to the net. This one tipped on goal. Takes a couple of pinballs on net. And the save made by Wall. 2:20 left in the third. 6-1 Panthers.
Losterinen is a handful in front of that net. And that's been the case tonight. When you see him off the ice,
it's a large guy.
Yeah, he is so large. And he got a little piece of that shot on Marchand goal that Lundell scored. And then he had his own goal, that really big one here in the third period when Marchand threw it to the net. He just hangs out in that blue crease. You can't move him. that body and that size, and he's finally getting to an understanding, is Lois Serenen, and a willingness to get to that blue paint more.
Yep.
That I've seen that, and he's getting rewarded for it. And after an okay regular season, he is putting together the playoffs, and this is the real season. This is when it counts. I don't care what you do in the regular season, and if your team gets in the playoffs and you show up at this time of the year, I put 10 times more weight showing up at this time of year than I do during the regular season.
Nylander to the end boards, backhand out front. It was a pass intended for Bobby McMahon. Intercepted play to the line. Long shot, Carlo, glove down by Bobrovsky. 1:56 to go in the third, 6-1 the score. And, well, you mentioned Eetu Luostarinen, and since the start of the 2023 playoffs to this point, knock on wood, the only series the Panthers have lost was the 2023 Cup Final when they didn't have Eetu Luostarinen. Remember, he was injured in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Final in 23 when the Panthers swept the Carolina Hurricanes. Blocked a shot, was injured for the entire Cup Final. That was the only series the Panthers have lost during this run. Up to the side of the net then, a loose puck, and it'll be Lawton down to our left, back behind the Panthers' net. Had it taken away. Here's Mikkola on for Rodriguez. Pushed ahead, Yarncroke able to grab it back for Toronto. 95 seconds to go in the third period. Here's Morgan Riley, pass to center. Music to the Panthers' ears. The Bluebirds remain here. And, well, the folks who've decided to stick around and see this thing through are not in a good mood. Puck played down and around the inboards. It's Nico Mikkola. Seth Jones here in the near corner. He'll toss one ahead. Down to our right it goes. Inside the Leafs in. 1:09 left in the third period. Brandon Carlo across to Bobby McMahon. Back here to McCabe. McCabe up the near side. Pacioretty trying to pass to Holmberg. Intercepted. Nosek at center ice. He couldn't hang on to it. Now the Panthers able to work in as Nosek regathers. Then it's Greer. Far circle. Holmberg in there against him. Ripped the puck away. Played down behind the Leafs net. Up the near side, McCabe. He'll backhand it out of the zone. Batted away by Kulikov. Far side of the ice, Carlo. 40 seconds left here in this third period of play. Here's McCabe. Up the near side, Pacioretty pokes it down to our left along the end boards. Kulikov back for it. Half a minute to go as McMahon threw a shoulder into Kulikov. Jonah Gadjevich, far side of the ice. Flipped high into the offensive end. Here's Lundell to play it down to our right. Jonah Gadjevich looks like he's content on staying out here for the rest of this thing. Here's Ekman Larsson playing it along. Yarncroke near side, Benoit. And down to our left, it's intercepted, cleared on by Mikkola. The Leafs have it around center. Played over the Panthers line. That's going to take us to the final seconds. The final seconds tick away. And the Panthers, 6-1 winners in runaway fashion. Game 7 here in Toronto. And the Panthers win it by a 6-1 final score. And the Florida Panthers are heading to the Eastern Conference Final for a third straight year.
Seventh heaven for the Panthers. And again, spring turns to fall in Toronto as the Leafs wilt. And the Panthers will be moving on to face the Carolina Hurricanes. What a well-done job all around, and the Panthers get the victory in stunning fashion as they go on the road and take care of Toronto.
6-1 final. The Panthers take care of business in a big way. A victorious edition of the Cats Recap Show is coming up on the other side. We'll walk you through what took place tonight. A huge Game 7 win for the Panthers. Paul Maurice, 6-0 lifetime in Game 7s. Sergei Bobrovsky, 3-0 lifetime in Game 7s. Brad Marchand, in his career, 5-0 against Toronto in Game 7s. 6-1. The Panthers get it done tonight.
All the stats you're afraid to throw out before the game. We can let them rip now.
And the Panthers moving on to take on Carolina in what should be an exciting Eastern Conference Final. We will step aside. We'll come back and walk you through this one. 6-1 Panthers over the Leafs. They take Game 7 on the Florida Panthers Radio Network, presented by Baptist Health.
This has been Florida Panthers hockey. The team coverage doesn't stop now. More with a Cats Recap Show coming up on the Florida Panthers Radio Network.
Presented by Baptist Health.
We have some breaking news that you Panthers fans are going